Peace to everybody. Peace to Bang Swift. He's saying yes, they do. Do FBAs hate Puerto Ricans? According to my brother here, maybe, maybe not. Who knows? I just copped the new. But shout out to you, Bang Swift, for coming through. I actually might have my other brother come through as well. And I'm just gonna wait until a couple heads get up in here, and then I'll start kicking it. I hope everybody's having a wonderful New Year. I look like a herb from this angle, bro. I don't like this. Happy New Year's to my first commenter, Bang Swift. Much love to you. Even if you're an FBA, Mr. Bang Swift, and you hate Puerto Ricans, I mean that's your prerogative. I don't give a shit anymore. I mean everybody could do whatever they want. 2024. I'm gonna let a couple more heads get up in here. Let me get a bottle of water while I wait. Damn, what the? And I copped a new laptop too. In addition to, I sent the link out to my man's, and he may show up too in a few minutes. But let me go cop a bottle of water. I'll be right back. Let me stop the cam. I don't fuck around, Donnie. I'm most real. I gave birth to your own style and feel. And also too, for anybody watching this for the first time, my man Q, I'm gonna text him now to see if he's busy or not. But my man Q, who may or may not join us this evening, he sells these amazing hats from his brand, which is DBIC or like DiBiase, like Ted DiBiase. And it's a trucker hat which reads "Brothers don't kill brothers," and it has his very excellent logo, DBIC, right there. I think that's the only logo that they have on this. But it's actually, I mean, I'm not bigging it up just because it's my man's too, who happens to be a black brother. Like, I mean, according to y'all, like, you know, but I'm not bigging it up solely on the fact that it's my brother. One, the font is actually pretty solid. Two, this logo, the DBIC logo, dope logo. It has it's a Egyptian undertones for you Kemetic brothers, or you hoteps that are now delving into the FBA field. This hat is also intended on all black men that walk America, and you're supporting quote unquote black business by supporting my man. I think it's dbicbrand.com, like where he sells them. But if you look it up, I mean, like, you know, or hopefully my man pull up and then he could hawk his merchandise to you as well. But again, it's DBIC. Support my man Q. And I'll be here for a minute too. I mean, like, if my man won't pull up or doesn't pull up, I'm gonna leave it. I'm gonna keep it a buck. Like, you know, last time, for those of you who may be joining for the first time, I opened the panel up for debate, like for anybody that came through, with the exception of one cat. Only one Puerto Rican dude came through, and I think he was like Puerto Rican and Italian. But with the exception of that, everybody else who came through were quote unquote so-called black brothers. And in spite of the fact that we disagree in some instances, you know, and these are dudes from New York, like the ones that pulled up, except for one. But what played out, I mean, in my last live stream where I allowed anybody to come through, I dropped the link and let anybody pull up. It was my largest live stream to date. My channel gets no love. But I think at its peak, there was 71 people watching the live stream. Thank you for anybody that came through. I mean, it's unfortunate that people pop up in the midst of like these tenuous debates or beef debates, in a sense. I don't like this angle, bro. What the fuck? But however they come through, I appreciate it either way. You know what I'm saying? Like, Damn, I should change the title to this joint. Just doing some housekeeping, my peoples. Bear with me. Damn, I'm trying to change the title in real time. But anyhow, but again, the last live stream was my biggest live stream to date. And again, a lot of the people that showed up that actually spoke, not internet herbs that fucking that get to say whatever they want with no repercussion. Like, but the last live stream that I had, most of the people that showed up were brothers. Many didn't agree with me, or many of us disagreed on certain points, but it was nothing but love at the end, you know, because that's what actually plays out in many cases. Oh, and there goes my man right there, bro. I was actually just hawking your wares earlier on, my good brother Q.
Oh yeah. That's what's up, dog.
Like, because I was just bloviating, but could you tell the people where to actually cop the brothers don't kill brothers hat?
Yeah. You can go to hit me on the Instagram at DBIC_BRAND. At DBIC_BRAND. That's the best way to check me out.
As DiBiase, or like Ted DiBiase, am I correct? And listen,
Yeah, the $1 million dream.
I was telling the peoples earlier, I'm not hawking it because you're my man's, but in addition, like the hat is actually fly. I mean, most people that see it in the field, they actually like it.
Yeah.
And it's a well-made hat. Like, I mean, trucker hats are trucker hats. They're not like, but this is actually a decently well-made trucker hat, in addition to supporting quote unquote black business. And in addition to the message is the fantastic part of this.
Yeah, indeed.
What's the I'm trying to oh, there we go. What yo, also too, Q, I didn't tell you before, but I'm here today because I got time. Like the like, I see a lot of these live streams talking about this debate particularly, and you know, it brings a lot of content. I mean, or it brings a lot of views. My biggest live stream to date happened on this subject. I get like 5 people viewing me like on live streams, but if it's some negativity, you know, like our peoples love that. And my last live stream had like 70 something, but I opened the panel up, and a lot of the dudes that came, like, and I opened it to anybody, you know what I'm saying? Like a lot of the dudes that pulled up were, except with the exception of one, were brothers, and the grand majority of them were from New York.
All right.
And we disagreed on a lot of points. I mean, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, because it's not all kumbaya out here, like between, like, under any circumstance. Like, you know,
So
like,
what are y'all disagreeing with? About the origin of hip hop, or about the relationship between so-called black people and so-called Spanish people?
more so the latter. More so the latter. I mean, they agreed when I illustrated it, but the thing is, like, they look at it like a lot of people generalize these things, like I don't fuck with these Puerto Rican, like, you know, and they're like, you know, I don't like, you know, like where they'll leave off like that, like, when that's not always the case, you know what I'm saying? Like, regardless of like what hood you're from in New York, regardless of, like, there's blocks, like my neighborhood, like I had a lot of Puerto Rocks, but there were some blocks that many blocks that had black cats that lived in it, but and there were some blocks that, you know, were heavy Puerto Rock, Latin King, you know, and like even the dynamic street to street is different. But I say that to say that the dynamic in New York, a lot of these out of town dudes are speaking on it like as if they know. And of course, like, you know, everybody on the internet now is an expert. Everybody on the internet, all of a sudden, like, they know every person that's the real creator of DJing now. Like in 2024, on the heels of this FBA shit, they know every and it's not anybody who they said in the past. It's the new people that they're mentioning. They know everybody who was the first MC. Like, they're remixing history in a sense. And then, like, if I try to like check them on it, or like say like maybe that's not the case, or that's not like the accept, like you know, like on the panels, like not mine.
Yeah.
But I was on panels last night, the day before, like, and it was largely like
Mm-hmm.
American so-called black, if you will.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
like Son, I was on Son's channel yesterday. Some other cat, like I think his name was like scoreboard keeper, some shit like that. And it's
Uh-huh.
some Philly dude being like mad emotional and like, oh, like fucking I know like this person from New York, so I have all the history. I'm like, yo, like, how would you know the history when most of these dudes are alive? More than B. Two, like, I mean, like, the New York dynamic in general, you can't explain the New York dynamic like
Mm-hmm.
living elsewhere. Like, yo, some dude yesterday in that live stream was saying that black Puerto Ricans started saying the N-word because of the movie Fresh. Like, the movie Fresh came out in the 90s, my man. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, like dudes weren't, like, Puerto Ricans weren't saying like the N-word, whether negatively or as is classically used in New York prior to that. Like, dudes are crazy, bro. Like, they remake history off the internet. That's my major bone of contention. But without us speaking about affiliations, fuck it, I don't care. Speak. It's
Nah,
2025. Speak how you want, bro. But
yeah, you
no, I was gonna say
know.
like to not throw the our affiliations of the past up, but I don't
Mhm.
give.
Well,
Because
I say this,
hold on. But I want to start the conversation in a broader sense, though. What do you feel
yeah,
about the FBA thing? Because I just heard about this shit. It's a new school shit. I mean, like now, like all these dudes
yeah.
are the authority in a sense as to what being black in America means. Like, what's your opinion on the FBA? I know what you may say, but like, could you let like the people know? Like, I mean, and you're what nationality are you as well?
Well, my nationality is Moorish American.
Of
Hmm.
America, right?
Moorish American,
Absolutely.
right? And there's an explanation behind the description, right? And the explanation is I'm a descendant of Moroccans and born in America, right? So my forefathers and foremothers are Moorish, are Moors, right? The Spanish transliteration of Moors or Moorish is
Moreno.
Moreno,
Moreno.
right? So, you know,
Hold on, and
so
I want you to flesh these things out more because I don't want people to like. I know even if you throw up like
hold
more.
on. Yo, do you got a link for the actual YouTube page? Because I was trying to find it. I can't find it. I don't know how come I can't find it. I
What do you
want to
mean?
send somebody a link to the YouTube.
Could
What are you on YouTube or you on Facebook?
I'm on YouTube. I'm on YouTube. But
All
that
right,
link that I sent you, you could send it out like as you feel, and
all
they'll
right
be
then.
able to have access to the same stream.
All right then. All right
But
then.
and you so could you still speak as you do that?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
and also too because I'm changing how things are how I speak in 2025 as well. Like I always like lately I've been saying so cold black for a reason, you know what I'm saying? But I don't want to hit people with like, different titles because like a lot of these dudes will dismiss you. If I were to say, oh, that's my Israelite description, a lot of brothers will be like, I don't fuck with these fucking stupid Israelites, like and like they will like shut you off based on just the title. So that's why I'm saying not to flesh out the Moorish thing of yet. But what I did want to ask was, do you feel that all of the black people, I know what your answer is, but do you feel that all of the black people in America are descendants of slaves?
All descendants of
African are
slaves?
descendants of African slaves.
Um, none of them are.
Okay, fantastic. And that's the time I'm on as well in 2025 and beyond. I'm not calling dudes black no more in American because that's a very easy term. Like and it's very rudimentary in a sense, especially when I actually get the privilege of chopping it up with a Moor in my brother Q. You know what I'm saying? Like and I show him respect in addition to the fact that he's my boy, but there's not many dudes that are living right. And I think if you're titling yourself as something wrong, I mean, like you're starting off bad off the rip. And I don't know many black brothers that are titling themselves in a proper fashion. You know what I'm saying? Like, and the more
Yeah.
and like right, and the FBA thing is almost like well, we'll get to that in a second. So like, now that we've so and I want you to flesh out the Moorish thing too. But so what do you think about the and what's your like perception as all these things relate to FBA, the new term that cats are rocking with nowadays?
Well, many years ago, during the time of the abolishment of slavery here in America, there was a popular court case that took place, which became a Supreme Court case, right? It went to the Supreme Court, and this was the court case with Dred Scott. And if my history serves me right, my knowledge serves me right, Dred Scott was a slave, right? Supposedly, he was enslaved, and he was taken to a territory where slavery was unlawful, right? And some reason, however, he was captured, brought back, and he was fighting for his freedom. And his case went before the Supreme Court, right? Y'all can all look this up yourselves. Just Google Dred Scott decision. And Dred Scott pleaded that he was a descendant of African slaves, right? And when we come to the knowledge of what Africa is and what a slave is, the average person can't even intelligently, expound on that, right? Because they're only going to deal with it from a colloquial perspective, modern day terminology, and based on what somebody has told them. So, Dred Scott said that he was a descendant of African slaves. And Africa has, 52 or 54 nations within that continent. And the word slave phonetically comes from the word Slav. And Slav is a people, right? You got Slovakia, Yugoslavia, right? All of those nations within, I think that's like
They
Eastern
call them
Europe.
Slavic nations, yeah.
Yes,
Slavic
indeed, in Eastern Europe, right? So how could you be African and a Slav at the same time, right? It's impossible to be such a thing. But however, we've been duped to believe that we are something that we are not, right? And we embrace, as the wise prophet Noble Drew Ali states, that we cling to names and principles that delude to slavery, right? Not knowing the origin of these words, right? We don't know what black mean, right? We don't know what Negro mean. We don't know what colored mean. We don't know what African American mean, right? But these are all names that have been given to us by somebody else, and we kindly accept it, and then eventually we cling to them. And then we make excuses for why we use it and how we celebrate it. We make customs and traditions around it. And we say, I'm black and I'm proud, and black is beautiful. And we say, I'm black, but I'm not a Negro. Don't call me no Negro. But in Spanish, the word black is Negro, right? However, these are intelligent people that make these claims, PhDs, right? And then they run for office and say, I want to be the president, right? What's the guy named that recently ran for president? The brother, Cornel West, supposedly intelligent, but he calls himself black. And he is, his skin complexion compares nothing to the color black, right? So, I think it's unintelligent that we do these things, but I know why we do it, because it's called mental slavery, right? So the people have been mentally enslaved to accept such a name that did not come from their forefathers. So you are without a doubt a contradiction who your forefathers were. What your forefathers were, you are today. You know, so whatever name that they were, Chinese people 10,000 years ago, today they're still Chinese people. But 10,000 years ago, they probably would have been Mongolians, right? Right. But these are names that they adopted for themselves, you know? So how do we accept the name that was given to us by somebody else? That is, a terrible situation. You know, so whoever has the power to name, that has the power also to define.
So do you feel that the FBA thing falls under that umbrella as far as a misnomer or a
It's
bad
a
title?
misnomer. 100% is a misnomer
So Q,
because, for one, foundational Black American, for one, any name that a people have should reflect their nation.
Indeed.
Right. So what nation exists on this planet Earth called foundational Black Americans? Not one exists. It never existed.
So
This
when
is
did you
social
first
media
hear of
stuff.
FBA but as a term? Like I heard it like this year, last year, maybe.
Yeah, I heard of it within the past 3-4 years, maybe 5. I don't know. These social media personalities come up with things, and people who have no foundation, right? They easily led in the wrong direction, hard to be led in the right. So they looking for something, and they're willing to take anything that sounds good and feels good for the present moment. And then when somebody else come up with a new idea, they jump on that bandwagon. So
Like ADOS is a good example of that, if you remember that, right?
ADOS, yeah, African descendants of slaves, right? How could you be a descendant of a slave and you're not Slavic?
And both those are post-COVID terms, I think, bro. Like that's some like post-COVID.
I don't deny it.
You know what I'm
I
saying?
don't
Like,
deny it.
I'm not shitting on black dudes, bro. Like,
I'm not doing that either.
yeah,
Because if anybody wants to call himself Black, teach his own. I'm not in the business of impeding on anybody's happiness and their state of mind. If you like slavery, maintain being a slave. You know what I mean? It's not in my mind to be trying to free anybody that don't want to be free. You know what I mean? So, and having freedom is the ability to do as you please when you desire to, without any interruption. But however, if your mind is a reflection of a condition that is forced on you, and you act that out, that is slavery. Slavery and slave are two different words. However, phonetically they sound similar, right? But the condition is slavery. The people are the slaves.
indeed, makes
Or the
sense.
Slavs.
No, that's a very rudimentary explanation, but nothing of what you said could be debated
Yeah.
at its purest form, terminology wise. And again, like I'm not like for like because the boxing scholar, he's one of the people that comes onto my channel, and he showed me nothing but love when I go to his channel. But to make things clear for anybody that doesn't know, Q is my brother, and we operated in the same circles for decades, though we really linked up in recent history. But that's my man. I could talk to this dude on the phone for hours, and he showed me nothing but love. I show him nothing but love. In spite of the fact that he's so-called American Black, but he's a Moor. And
no, I'm not a so-called Black at all. I don't accept those terms. You know what I mean? Because as soon as somebody say it, I object to it.
Yeah. So object every time, please.
I will, because you know what? But we have to get used to the truth. Because if I tell you that my name is Steven and you keep calling me Stephen, that's a problem.
Word up.
Right?
That's like you calling me Latinx. You know what I'm saying? Like I would fuck somebody up like for calling me Latinx.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So let's get it right. You know what I mean? And this is not a shot at you, Joey, because you my man.
No,
But
I know.
I gotta keep it 100 with you that I don't accept, You know, even when it comes to the so-called, you know what I mean? Like, listen, we don't have to say so-called. Just say exactly what I am.
Word up. No,
You know what I'm
but
saying?
I don't want the a lot of these dudes, how do you say it? Like, I don't want people to think that they like they'll probably like I don't want people to think that there's a distinction, or like that you're Moroccan by nationality as an Arab, new school Morocco from that, you know,
Well,
like,
you know, because those are people that are unlearned and have no desire to learn. They
well,
take
unlearned
everything on
people
face
purposely
value.
obfuscate every conversation nowadays. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
and I'm
Everyone
not
on the internet
interested in
connected.
trying to appease to the ignorant.
Word
You
up.
know what I mean? I don't. That's never been my thing. If you don't know better, you can't show better. You know what I
Word.
mean? So if you take everything on face value, you have no interest in knowing the truth anyway. You know what I'm saying? So anything that I had to say is going to go directly over their head. You know what I mean? And they're going to miss it every time. So let's not cater to those who don't care to learn.
Indeed. Good advice.
Mhm.
So also, and we were talking about this yesterday, as far as the dynamic of growing up in New York City. Nothing about Moors, as far as like beef that exists between Puerto Ricans and blacks in New York City. Like,
Mhm.
my whole thing was that I didn't appreciate the fact. Somebody said, "Look up Dan Calloway." Now we good, bro. I mean, like that's that brother, but I mean, like, it's the
Yeah, teach his own. You know, these are all people who
if you
have
come to Moors
opinions.
through Dan Calloway, fantastic. You know what I'm saying? But there's a my brother Q, I think will school, and he's not even putting content out there like that. To me, is more of an authority of a more than like
Yeah.
some YouTube.
You know, I'm not a debater because who I am is not up for debate, right? First and foremost. Um, I don't care about what Dane Calloway do or what he don't do. You know, that's his prerogative. Whether he got 100 subscribers or 100,000 or 100 million. Uh, you know, those who are looking for the truth will find it. They
Word up.
might stumble on falsehood for a little while, and then eventually they'll, you know, rise to the occasion, you know what I mean, and the truth will find them and set them free. But other
Word.
than that, I'm not interested in interrupting anybody's journey of learning. You know what I mean? Because I went through my stages, you know what I'm saying? So, you know,
Personally, were you ever part of like these other movements, like in New York, like as far as street quasi
yeah,
like,
I've
religious
been a
things?
member of the Zulu Nation since I was 15 years old.
But you never like were God body or like
Nah, I
Israelite?
was never a member of the 5% Nation of Guards and Herbs. However, I studied the lessons when I was a young man because most of the brothers in my neighborhood, 5%. And you know, a lot of the older Zulus were 5%. You
Word up.
know, so it was most appealing to me when I was a shorty, you know, in my quest for being able to self-identify, right? Looking for an identity. Because I knew it was something wrong with being called black, right? So, you know, in a quest for a knowledge of self, the 5% Nation of Gods on Earth was definitely a beacon light for me. You know what I'm saying? And because of hip hop, you know what I mean? You see in Rakim, you know, when with the crown, and then he got the universal flag, you know what I mean, behind him and Move the Crowd video. You know what I'm saying? So that was most appealing to me. You know, so no, but I was never a member of the 5% Nation of Gods of Earth, but you know, I was inclined to learn those lessons because, you know, that's just what we was into when we were younger. But when I joined the Zulu Nation,
Hold on, could you explain what 5% Nation is, like to people that may not know?
I really can't. I could just say it's a organization that was founded by a man at one time known as Clarence the 13, Clarence the 13X, who the members of the 5% Nation called Father Allah, and the 5% Nation, the Gods of Earth, study lessons that were taught to Elijah Muhammad by Master Farad Muhammad, you know, and they have a series of questions and answers, right, which accumulates to the 120 degrees, And these people bear witness to the truth of the identity of the original man being God, the Asiatic man. You know, so you got Google, you could go ahead and Google it. You know, there's a plethora of videos online. On YouTube, you got the Law School of Mecca page by my man Malachi. Malachi got the Law School of Mecca page, and they got all kind of videos, different parliaments. You know what I'm saying? And brothers expounding on the lessons. So rather than taking it from a non-member of the 5% Nation of Gods of Earth, you can go straight to the source. You know what I'm saying? And get the information, you know, as provided by those who subscribe to being 5% 5%ers or gods, members of the 5% Nation of Gods of Earth. Because I'm not one, so I can't tell you what I'm not. You know what I mean? It's like
I just
I
want
don't
to
want to mislead.
illustrate as far as their presence in New York City. For those that don't know, I mean, like 5%ers are like sort of like quasi religious, but they're also in the streets. As far as like you might meet some dude that's super gully about it, that gives it up in the streets. That's a 5%er, you know, that has knowledge of self, but he's not no religious dude burning incense and shit. Like, you know, he has knowledge of self, even though like they are businessmen in a corporate world, or even though at times like when they go to jail they got to group up, or they, you know, they move as a unit. It's I was only illustrating that because a lot of people outside of New York don't realize that there's Israelites in the streets of New York, and we kind of like were the first ones that were doing that. As far as having black people say that we don't fuck with, like, you know, outside, like different nationalities that are represented in the streets, in addition to like God bodies, like where they like have the pride as original men, and like they rock as a unit when they need to, you know what I'm saying? Like and it's in the street. It's not like some sequestered in a church. You know, you have friends that if our God bodies or that are part of the nation of gods and earths, you know what I'm saying? Like even though like your group could be whatever, you could be Latin King and be friends with gods, you know what I'm saying? Like that, like just like so people like know from the how these people interplay with the dynamic of New York City, you know.
Yeah.
And
Well,
the
you
thing is,
know,
and I want to bring you on here. My main intention with anybody, because I have 11 people in here now, is that with the hip hop history, I'm trying to paint things before I get into that, because a lot of cats are trying to switch up the history, setting the year back 1 year, saying that, all right, like the homeboy that I was on his channel yesterday, um, saying that a dude in Philadelphia invented graffiti, like, and like so they're trying to like switch up all the history to like almost like there were no Puerto Ricans that were around any of this stuff, which is almost impossible in New York when we get to explain these dynamics. But a lot of people want to act brand new, and a lot of people on the internet are all of a sudden experts on shit. When I know for sure Q has been around some of the first participants of hip hop, in addition to myself, you know, like a party in a sense with some of the first participants of hip hop. You know what I'm saying? Like shook hands with these people without even, and most times not knowing who they were or appreciating them in my case.
yeah,
But
yeah,
but I have, like in the case of yesterday, like some like dude was trying to like chicken hawk, like school me to the game from Philly as to like what happened in hip hop history in New York when a lot of these people are still alive. One, two, I mean, like, you know, these tales are passed down to me from Bronx to Brooklyn, and I, you know, I'm a hip hop head since a baby, you know, so I like but they'll try to like discount like what I was saying, basically on the strength that I'm like Puerto Rican and shit, like
yeah.
but at the end of the day, the facts are the facts. I mean, and we're gonna get into like the whole like interplay between Puerto Ricans and blacks, which is not a kumbaya relationship in New York City or in anywhere. In fact, in spite of the fact that I have peoples that are black, there's Puerto Ricans that don't fuck with blacks, and there's
Well,
black people.
let's think about it like this. You could go to the island that is called Puerto Rico, and you will see that the dark skinned people that live in Puerto Rico live in separate areas from those who are not dark skinned. Right. And
Sort of. Like there's one part that's heavy dark skin, like Loisaida, or there's a couple
yeah,
parts.
right. And it's like that when I went to Dominican Republic, it was the same way. I was like, damn, all these dark skinned people, right? Darker than me, right? And couldn't find a light skinned person nowhere, right? But then I go into the town, to the city, and I see all these light skinned people, right? Birds of a feather flock together. You know what I mean? Lions don't hang with tigers, right? The cheetahs don't hang out with the hyenas, right? The hyenas don't hang out with Rottweilers, right? The eagles don't soar with the pigeons, right? The giraffes don't hang out with the elephants. That's
And
just
it's
a
all
part of
good.
this. That's a
And it's
part
all
of nature. You know what I'm saying? Now, I grew up in Hollis, Queens, and my block was pretty diverse. Had a lot of Guyanese, the quote unquote Indian phenotype of the Guyanese. Had a lot of Puerto Ricans on my block. A few pale skin European families. My family was among a few of the Asiatics that many people misnomer as black, right?
and in your hood, like in Hollis, it was more what?
That was just on my block, right? And I'm not saying every block wasn't like that, but I'm just talking about my block, right? And we all got along fairly. However, I know that, the dominant culture on that block was the Guyanese, because a lot of them, right? And they used to act a little funky, right? But however, they'd do that with me because I was a child. But my brothers, they didn't want no smoke with none of my brothers, right? My brothers was older, they were G's, you know what I'm saying? So, and then when I got older, you see them start to part ways, like, you know what I mean? As soon as I'm walking down the block, is Moses with the Red Sea, you know what I'm saying? They're gonna make way for me because they know I ain't want to play with, right? So the whatever prejudices existed in their mind, they put that to the side because they say, oh, it's a man now, you know what I mean? So we can't play that. But when he was young, we could treat him any kind of way, you know what I mean? But now he a little bit older, he 15, 16 years old, and you know what I mean? And he looked like he could tear something up. You don't want no smoke now. You know what I mean? The Puerto Ricans on my block were super cool, right? But there was one, you know what I mean, who was super mean for no reason. And I know he had a hatred towards anything that wasn't Puerto Rican. You know what I'm saying? And it is what it is. I was never mad at him for that. You know what I mean? Because everybody got the right to love what they want and not love what they want to love. You know what I mean? What they don't want to love. So that's just the reality of it. I ain't into forcing people to like me. You know what I'm saying? Or have an appreciation for who I am or what I am. You know what I mean? That's his prerogative. You know what I'm saying? For instance, the word racist. We have a misunderstanding of the word racist. You know, um, this is a couple of my paintings in the background, right? You know, um,
Don't show
and
my
because
shit.
I'm a paintist, I paint. That would qualify me to be an artist, right? And if I was a piano player, they would call me a pianist, right? If I had a thing for riding bicycles, they would call me a bicyclist, right? So the IST used as a suffix in words, according to the laws of grammar in the English language, the IST refers to one who has a love, appreciation, and or profession in the subject matter, right? The subject being piano, IST is the one who has a love or profession in the thing, right? So piano and the IST together is pianist, is I have a profession in playing the piano. So when it comes to the word racist, why does it mean hatred when you are racist, but it means having a love for everything else and every other word where the IST is applied to? Right? So I don't have a problem with somebody having a love for their quote unquote race.
So would you
As they're
agree with me?
supposed to.
By that definition, should Moors act more racist?
Let's not get it
Not by the old
misunderstood.
definition, as far as being about their race.
Let's not get it misunderstood. Because I'm not going to use the word racist and then have somebody else,
Should Moors be more about
take a
their race?
little clip and say,
Yeah,
"Oh,
word up.
he said the Moors are racist." No, I never said that,
Pardon self,
and I never will.
Should Moors be more
However,
about building with their race?
having a love for your race, right? Having race pride is important.
Absolutely.
As the Prophet Noble Jawali communicated, he said, if you have race pride and love your race, right, join the Moor Science Temple of America, right? So if you have race pride for your people, as you should, you're supposed to love the language. You're supposed to love the music. You're supposed to love the cultural expressions of your own people. I have no problem with anybody doing that. I just have a problem with you infringing on me expressing my love for mine.
Word up. No,
You know what I'm saying?
and people when they ride for their race, if they see somebody who they feel is of their race and they see people setting it on them, let's say, they'd be more inclined to help. You know what I'm saying? Like they'd be more like, I ain't gonna let that happen to somebody of my bloodline. Fuck out of here. So I mean, like that'd be a great thing. I mean, I don't want to shit on like misguided Moors of America. But I do want to say that I don't see that as much. A lot of times within that community, I see more apathy. Like if somebody were to get fucked up and brothers were to peep it at times, I wouldn't be surprised if at times they're like, fuck, that's him. It is what it is. That's him. You know what I'm saying? Like, or like even with the police, like a lot of us used to crack up like when the police were like back in the day. Like if the police had one of us hemmed up, like the whole hood come out like like and laugh or some shit.
Mm-hmm.
Like even though like that it's one of their kin that's going into the whip, into the cop car.
Mm-hmm.
So now I mean like with the also let me like I want like, you mind if I like have you field some of these answers from the chat, like if I read them to you and you answer them like real quick?
Go ahead.
All right, so I'll read it and I'll allow you to answer. It also too, if you want anybody else to come through, and it's random dudes, like I mean like it could be like any of these random, because I had the link out for the public before.
Mm-hmm.
If you want it to be open, I'll allow it with the caveat that my man Q, if I allow people up in here, has the ability to boot you out if you're trying to overtalk or dominate the conversation. You know what I'm saying? Like we building over here, but we don't want to be called Negro, colored, African American. We don't like the name foundational Black American because we built this country from our blood, sweat, and tears. Very simple, and that was from Isaiah White. What do you say to that, Big Q?
Well, I don't want to be called anything that my forefathers didn't call themselves. You could paint an apple orange. It doesn't make the apple an orange. You could call a cat a dog, right? However, that cat is still a cat. So the name Negro doesn't apply to us because Negro was a name that was given to a river because it contained black water, right? You can find that river in South America. It's called Rio de Negro, right? The river, the
El Rio
largest
Negro.
river on the planet Earth, found in the what I think near Brazil, if I'm not wrong. So the word colored is anything that has been painted, stained, varnished, or dyed. Black, according to science, means deaf. You say, oh, how you figure that? Well, the word black translates in Spanish as Negro. The father tongue of the Spanish language is Latin, and Negro or Negro translated to Latin is necro. Necro. Necro means death. So black, according to science, means death. So can a man be a Negro, black, colored, African American? No, because our forefathers weren't none of those things.
Can I get to the next question real quick?
Yeah.
This one's more in relation to the topic at hand. My point, and this is from Lamel Prince, my point is all black music comes from our black American experience.
Well, I beg to differ because the original sound doesn't come from black people. Again, I'm not going to subject myself to inferior thinking and use inferior words to describe a people.
So, like,
Black people never created anything because they're not black people.
So, could we correct the brother real quick? And by saying my point is, like, I'll rephrase his question. My point is, all Moorish music comes from our Moorish American experience. That's I think that well, like the creators were so-called Moors. I mean, or Moors. Correct? Could we agree on that?
Well, the original man is the creator of all things on planet Earth, even his own confusion. You know what I'm saying?
Word up, bro. What? Well said. All right. PRs and PR didn't have the clan or white mobs coming after them and ripping y'all members off of y'all color. I mean, and to my brother Isaiah White, if you could illustrate how the clan has affected your life or racist dudes have affected your life in recent history, I mean, like, do tell. I mean, but the clan doesn't seem like they're that deep, and it would take one afternoon for some Bout It brothers to end the clan, like, but for some reason, I mean, like, dudes that never seen a clan member seem awfully shook of clan members. But knowing my Moorish brothers who I've grown phenotypical, especially Moor or whatever, I don't know, I forget the phenotype. My Moorish brothers who are mistitled as so-called black of New York City, or the ones that I've been around in my experience, are some of the most thorough dudes I've met my whole life. I mean, like, in spite of the fact that yes, the clan does victimize brothers, but a lot, it doesn't affect you on a day-to-day. You know what I'm saying? You could drive through areas where they may be clan and probably be Gucci. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's almost in a sense like fearing something that you never peeped like that.
Yo, I'll tell you this. People love to be victims.
I'm gonna get to that. I really want to flesh
scary
that out.
People worrying about some Ku Klux Klan members that they ain't never seen in their life and never heard one in their life, never met one, right? It's crazy how they make up these boogie monsters.
Facts.
As if that these are, people that's hiding under their bed, ready to jump out their closet and with a noose and burn a cross in their front yard, right? Elijah Muhammad met with the Ku Klux Klan. Marcus Garvey met with the Ku Klux Klan, right? And they had intelligent conversations with these people based on the wants and desires of both so-called white people and so-called black people. So if these men were able to sit down peacefully, communicating with the heads and leaders of such an organization as the Ku Klux Klan, you know, only people that are that will put the Ku Klux Klan in a position as if there's some sort of terror are people who are not a part of any organization, have no unified front, you know, scary of any and everything. You know what I
Yes.
mean? They hear a mouse and they go jumping on the bed. You know what I'm saying?
Could we say pussies?
Listen, I do construction for a living, right? I've been in construction since I was a young man, since 2002, right? And construction forced me to grow up fast because I was growing up slow in my mind because I was thugging, gang banging, all that silly stuff, right? I got into construction. The construction made me put me around men that did not play. They came to work and it was about that paper, sending their kids to school, paying that mortgage, you know what I mean? Them benefits, making sure their babies and their wife got medical insurance, all of that, right? So, you know, I'm around all kind of men, Irish, Italian, I'm around brothers, right? Serious. And I know all the Italians didn't care about me. I know the Irish didn't care about me, and some of the brothers didn't care about me. But one thing that we did not tolerate was disrespect from nobody. If any, the slightest disrespect, somebody getting hurt, right? So, however, you can feel how you want to feel about any other people on the planet Earth. While you here at work, you gonna keep that to yourself, respectfully.
Or defend it physically?
You know what I'm saying? And you know, and anybody could get it. And it was like that across the board. So I have an uncle of mine, one of my mother's brother, right? He's 81 years old as of right now, right? He told me this a couple years ago, because he's in the same union that I'm in, right? Local 6A cement and concrete workers, right? And he told me when he first came into the union back in the 70s, how rough it was uh, for brothers to get jobs and be a part of the union, you know. And you know, he got jumped before by a group of Italians, you know, and it forced him to have to come to work with a pistol now. You know, my older brother told me, who's another former member of my union, not a former, but he retired. He told me while he was at work one day and some guys on the floor above dropped a brick on his head. And now he got to come to work with a pistol because he want to make sure that that never happens again. And since it might not be a fair fight, at least somebody going to feel some pain, right? But that's what they thought they had to do, you know. And they told me their stories of their struggles, and they demanded the respect, right? You got to fight for what's yours, respectfully. You know what I'm saying? And it wasn't no fear. It wasn't nobody going back and calling and saying, oh, the Italians is mean. You know what I mean? Nah, they just come back as a man and be like, hey, you know, I want to smoke now. I'm here. If it's going to be a problem, I'm with it. But if it ain't going to be a problem, I'm with that too. You know, as the good brother Lord Tafik used to say, peace or pieces.
Facts.
Come peacefully or leave in pieces. You know what I mean? So, you know, it's only suckers that's out here thinking about the Ku Klux Klan doing something beyond their imagination, only something that they heard in or seen in the movie. You know what I'm saying? And I'm
Let
not
me
saying
keep
the Ku
reading.
Klux.
Let me keep reading some of the
Yeah, go
comments.
ahead.
I want you to answer them too. This one doesn't need to be answered. It's good. But I mean, superimpose the word more for black. But as a black American, we can't keep living off our ancestors' glory and achievements. We got to build today.
That's a fact.
I agree, 100% agree. Homeboy Jeff 2131. He was leaving comments on my channel yesterday. Good looking out for coming through again, Jeff. FBA is a lineage, not a group. What do you say to that, Mr. Q?
Again, go get a dictionary.
And he
go
said
look
you
up the,
trying to sound smart. I'm pretty sure he's referring to you.
go get a dictionary and look up the word foundation, right? Look up the word black and look up the word American. That's all. Sometimes you gotta take it to the fundamentals of learning. Go get a dictionary. Go ahead and read. You know what I mean? Do the knowledge. There's no such thing as a foundational Black American. But if you want to use names and principles that delude to slavery, so be it. I'm not trying to force anything. There's no compulsion. You know what I mean? But I'm not going to have a conversation with somebody who's unintelligent and be going back and forward trying to, rationalize their ignorance.
Hold on. He also left a comment. Well, don't rationalize it, but I can see where the brother's coming from. The comment that Moors tell each other when they say they're Moors. He said, "You're not a Moor." LOL.
So be it.
That Moor stuff doesn't exist. Yo, Jeff. As far as Puerto Rican history, I'm gonna tell you, Puerto Rico's biggest national heritage site, or our illest monument, is actually a fortification. It's a castle, and it's called El Morro, which actually translates to the Moor. If you look at that castle too, supposedly it was built by the Spanish, which I don't believe to be true because it looks more ancient than just about anything you see in Europe. But I don't think that they called it the Moor because it was a cool name. I think that they called it the Moor because of the people that were already there.
Yeah.
Respect. But let me see if there's more comments. That Moor stuff doesn't exist. I mean,
it's just like a woman. You tell a woman the truth and she gets mad and she can only respond with shame, insult, and guilt, and what how Kevin Samuel said, and the need to be right. I'm not even going to entertain all of that. That stuff don't work. What stuff? You don't know what he's talking about. You know what I mean? Identity is important because everybody on the planet Earth has a name that belonged to their forefathers, right? Which is descriptive of their nationality, the name of their nation. But it's only those people who've been stripped of their name, of their forefathers, that cling to principles and names that delude to slavery, that accept foolishness. So they will call somebody brown people, right? They call them yellow people. They refer to Chinese or Asian people, Orientals, as yellow, and Native Americans as red, and they don't even understand where that even comes from. You know what I mean? As far as those people who, like, what's his name, Darwin, who were trying to classify the races and basically put the pale-skinned European as the superior one, and refer to those who were quote-unquote Negroid races as the inferior, and everyone in between was cool. You know what I mean? Listen, some people just don't want to learn. You know what I mean?
He also said, you just said FBA doesn't exist. It's a lineage. So you're trying to say
it's not a lineage.
In America.
It's not a lineage. If it was a lineage, it would have existed beyond your existence. Right?
And honestly, like a lot of
nobody 20 years ago was calling himself an FBA.
Absolutely. These dudes are doing the most behind, like,
so
FBA.
I mean, listen, you only could be what your forefathers were. You can't be anything else other than that.
Facts. No, well, and we'll get to the hip hop history before we flesh things out too. Like, and most of the hip hop history that I want to say, it's really dumb history because of the hip hop, like, and it's the tenet of my argument. I mean, and we'll keep going, revisiting this as the time progresses. I want to flesh out a lot of things. Mm-hmm. At the beginning of the year, 2025, a lot of people, like, a lot of people are learning these things for the first time too. But for those that don't know, regarding hip hop history and the dynamics of New York, I wanted to bring somebody who knows the dynamics of New York and who's a little older than me to explain these things. Like, and on top of that too, I know for a certainty that my man Q was around the founders of hip hop, as was I. But I haven't tripped on this or made it seem like I'm the authority on these things, and I'm not gonna act like neither one of us is. But some
Yeah,
out
I'm
of
not an
town,
authority on it either. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Yeah, I know brothers who were there when it happened, when it sparked, right? I've had conversations with all of them. You know, I was a shorty, watching it in its essence in the early 80s,
We'll get
living in
to that. We'll
Crown
get to that though, Q. We're gonna get to that. Like,
Heights.
I just want to make things clear with some of the people in the chat too, because they still have comments. I'm assuming in your direction. He said African American was coined in the '80s by Jesse Jackson. So what the fuck is this guy talking about?
Yeah,
Y'all
that is
don't
the
know,
truth.
huh?
I never denied that.
And I didn't hear my man say that
But you can't be
anything
an
about.
African American though. There's no such thing as an African American. It can't be a nationality because Africa is a continent. It's not a nation.
This guy said this black dude is delusional. He just said FBA doesn't exist and he's a Moor. LMAO. I mean, that's your perspective, bro. FBA didn't exist last year, though, Jeff. You got to understand, too. I mean, you just started saying FBA in 2024, very likely. You
Yeah.
probably started saying FBA like with the arrival of this Fat Joe argument, honestly. A lot of these dudes. I mean,
Yeah.
we can't
I
front.
think it was Tariq Nasheed that introduced the idea of FBA stuff. I don't know. I
And
wasn't
that's his
there.
thing. You know what I'm saying?
I
And
wasn't there.
like taking a step back on like with the FBA terminology and Tariq Nasheed, like, and I'm using ADOS as an example because I remember like I mentioned like, so what happened to dudes calling themselves ADOS like they were doing during COVID a couple years ago, and they were like, nah, the founders of ADOS were found to be scammers and all this shit. And that shit died off. So I mean, my prediction is that they'll find some skeleton in Tariq Nasheed's closet, and then
Somebody's going to create a totally different name
and then the new
on the
name,
onset of the summertime, and they're going to be riding that wave too.
black Indian native type shit, and it was founded by fucking who knows what, and then
because when they were being called colored, they was rationalizing being called colored. They was being called Negro, they was rationalizing that. They were being called black, they was rationalizing that. When I was a child, my mother told me that being called black was fighting words where she grew up in North Carolina. She said that was fighting words. That was an insult. But eventually it became accepted. You know what I'm saying? So how could something that would be considered vile, mean, be eventually accepted? Now I'm black and I'm proud, right? Now black is beautiful, right? But now they're no longer black. They're African Americans. And that's being rationalized, right? They're trying to rationalize their usage of it, right? Make excuses for the uses of it. Now they foundational black Americans, right? So what are they going to be tomorrow?
They were ADOS before FBA though too,
right? So we bear witness and understand that truth is the only thing that changes not. If you was Negro, black, colored, African American, ADOS, FBA, all of these things change. So we bear witness that that's not the truth. Because one day that thought is going to expire and they're going to be calling themselves the next fashionable thing, the next trendy thing trending online. You know what I mean? Bandwagon people.
Oh, wait, there's a new term too in reference to non American black, as in like Jamaicans, Puerto Ricans in a sense. I mean like Caribbeans, called tethers. I don't know if you heard that corny ass shit.
Yeah.
But now these dudes are using it like an insult. Like when they just
I use a tether at work. It's a strap that I make sure that my hammer doesn't fall off the building while I'm working.
But my man L and then the letter L said FBA is just a name change from African American to keep tethers from reparations. Dr. Clark Anderson came up with FBA, not Tariq.
Well, whoever came up with it, it's still falsehood.
And what about the reparations debate? I mean, like, because these dudes are trying to flip it as if they're holding out for reparations, and like that this terminology and wave is kind of gonna usher.
Well, anytime reparations were distributed to any people on planet Earth, right? It was a condition and a arrangement that took place between two particular nations.
Word
So
up.
if FBA
And
is
ain't
a
no black
nation,
nation too, or FBA nation too. Is that what you're trying to illustrate?
FBA is not a nation.
Word up.
So you're not going to get no reparations.
Isaiah White also commented, I think people are scared of this for some reason. Why do PRs call themselves Boricua? I think it's like an Indian word. I don't want to, like, I'm not a Puerto Rican, like I'm not like as well versed on these things like that. Like I don't think Puerto Rico probably should be called Puerto Rico, but the that's a separate instance, I guess. But I think it's like an Indian word to refer to yourself as a Puerto Rican in a sense. Suppose that's the popular story. Yeah, tethers does exist. Fat Joe is a tether. Like Fat Joe is a tether. Nah, Fat Joe is Puerto Rican. So why America was giving reparations to Jews before they Israel? You know, I could assume how Jews got reparations, not because America thought that Jews fought for their reparations, but they move as a unit, and I don't like Jews. I've dealt with Jews. Like a lot of these dudes don't live around Jews, like don't rent from Jews like most New Yorkers do. Don't have Jewish landlords like most New Yorkers do. But one thing I will say about them, in spite of the fact that they're funky as far as body odor, as far as the fact that that's the palest of pale, some of them are grimy, very grimy, but they move as a unit. You ain't gonna go into Crown Heights Jewish area and fuck up a Jewish cat. You could bring your most thorough dudes and they'll come out in bus loads and ride on you. So, I mean, in spite of the fact that, yes, I know like that their business is uplifting themselves by keeping other people down. I mean, that's a byproduct of uplifting themselves. But I wish my people's uplifting themselves. You know what I'm saying? Like, I wish like Puerto Ricans made that kind of a move. I wish my Moorish brothers made that kind of a move, like here in New York or here in America. You know what I'm saying? Like, so what rewards they got from America as far as Jews in terms of reparations don't mean shit for me, because that's them and theirs in their relationship to this United States.
Yeah.
Joe disrespected over 40 million black people and called us broke ninjas. He's a tether.
Yeah.
I think in the span of that conversation, which I didn't watch the whole interview, I just saw the spicy part in which he was dropping N-bombs. Listen, I'm gonna tell you, Jeff, respectfully, and I got a lot of love for dudes that are Moorish, or what you would, I don't want to say so-called black, but I've said the word ninja at least 2 or 3 million times in my life. I always say that on this platform. You know, I don't think that Fat Joe, in the span of that statement, even though it was misplaced because of what he was addressing at that time, maybe you want to make that argument, fine. But I don't think he was using the word ninja in a derogative fashion, because New Yorkers, by and large, when we say it, we know when it comes off as racist. You know what I'm saying? Like any minority knows when somebody's saying the N-bomb in a negative connotation. I'm trying not to say it any longer, like personally, like, you know, at times is very bad habit.
Yeah, you know, I think that you know, anybody who embrace slave culture, misnomer as black culture, and you live in a community which is predominantly those people, you're going to accept their customs as well. Most people that I know.
Oh, hold on. But let me, before you continue though, there's Latin kings, like from my neighborhood, Sunset Park, in the 90s had the most Puerto Ricans by percentage of any neighborhood in New York City. I don't know if you're aware of that.
I don't doubt it.
They were Latin Kings in my name. My New York was Sunset Park was one of the bases of Latin Kings for all New York. Like the illest chapters, were from based out of Sunset. However, there are Latin King dudes, and my man Q, you're the authority in this. Do you mind if I drop an N bomb for New Year's Eve in
You
this?
say what you want to say. You're a grown man.
No, I got sensitive dudes on the internet though.
As long as
I don't want to offend nobody in
listen, you say
2025.
what you say. I just know that you're not talking about me when you say the N word.
But there's
I don't
Latin
use
King,
that language
there's Latin King
for
dudes.
myself or for
All right.
anybody else. I just use it as a description. But go
All right,
ahead.
so let me say my describer. There's Latin King dudes that are rioting for Latin Kings on some race shit in New York City that don't like black dudes, let's say, or like Latin people in general, let's say, that don't ride with black dudes, don't fuck with black dudes one bit, that'll say racist shit about black dudes, but they'll refer to their homeboy who's also Latin and don't look shit for black, and they say that, nah, that's my nigga. You know what I'm saying? Like that, you ain't gonna fuck with my boy, like in referring to each other. And it's just like that in New York. But the thing is too, that when people try to obfuscate the debate, and I mentioned this to you yesterday, as far as Puerto Ricans in relation being in and around hip hop from jump, like people are making it seem as if black dude or Moors in New York fucked up by allowing us in the cipher. You know what I'm saying?
But there's no monopoly on the term and the usage of the word nigga, right? There's no monopoly by quote unquote black people in the use of the word nigga. It's not a description of who we are. So if anybody wants to use the word nigga, let them use it. All it does is determines and it identifies their quality and character. You know what I'm saying? The word nigga deludes to the Latin word negro, right? The words are synonymous. Nigga and negro are synonymous words, and necro. So if they use the word, we already know and understand that these people are what? Dead in the head. What the word means? It means dead. So if you call yourself a nigga, you are dead in the head. That's the mental death. It's the absence of truth. It's the absence of knowledge, the absence of information. You know what I mean? So you can't be mad at anybody that calls himself a Negro or use the word nigga. Let them. All it does is show who they are. It's not an offense to me. I don't care if they call themselves such a thing. I don't care if they use it a million times, remix it.
While we're on the topic, though, be honest? Do you think it would sound crazy for some dude to jump out the window on somebody else in New York City that was a quote unquote minority for utilizing the word N since you were a youngster? And even today.
Yeah, I've been hearing that word all my life. All my life. I used to use it when I didn't know no better. When I was dead in the head.
There's a good one coming up.
I remember going to the Zulu Nation Universals when it was held in Bronx River Projects, right? The first and last Wednesday of every month. It'd be hundreds of Zulus from all over New York City, New Jersey pulling up, Connecticut pulling up, right? Mount Vernon, Yonkers pulling up. Zulus from all over New York City coming to the Bronx. 3 things you could not do during the meeting. You cannot curse, you cannot say the B word, and you couldn't say the N word during the meeting. You get your snot box rocked, as Hassan Campbell like to say, right? You catch a violation speaking like that during the meeting. It was unaccepted. It was not accepted. It was unacceptable for you to communicate in such a way. Why? Because Zulus stood for knowledge, wisdom, understanding, freedom, justice, equality, right? Truth, facts, fun, faith, right? Science, mathematics, and the oneness of the great God of law, right? So at any given time, if you express anything that was contrary to what Zulu Nation stood for, that was a problem. So me and my brothers in my chapter, right? My chapter was predominantly in Jamaica, Queens. And we used to play a game called Bad Habit, but we played Bad Habit with the N word. So me as a little boy in my neighborhood, we used to play Bad Habit with cursing. So we said, we play Bad Habit today? And they said, yeah, Bad Habit. So you get caught cursing at any given time, right? Everybody has the right to hit you, except for the face, right? Punch you as much as they want, as hard as they want, until you say the word bad habit. So sometimes you'll curse, right? And get everybody excited. And then before they hit you, you say bad habit, right? And now they can't hit you. But however, I knew with the N word, it was so ingrained in the minds of the usage. It ain't no better. It was just like natural to say the N word. So when we started to play Bad Habit in my chapter, we used to punish brothers. And then my man Bill Cash, my Zulu brother, he said, yo, Q, it's crazy how, I don't use the N word no more because of the game Bad Habit, right? It now it don't even sound right coming out of his mouth. He said, it don't even sound right me saying it. He said, but now I realize how much so many other people say it and how often. He said, I cringe whenever I hear it. Because I enlightened him that the word is unacceptable to use to describe yourself or anybody else. You know what I'm saying? So he understood it. Now he don't use the word anymore, but now he's paying attention to his surrounding. He's like, damn, everybody's just saying it. And it's like, it's cringeworthy to him now. It makes him upset when he hear it. So, however, today, I'm not tripping on anybody using the word. Just don't call me that. Just don't call me. You call me anything. Just don't call me no nigga. Don't call me an African American because I'm going to object. But if it comes off disrespectful, I'm going to check you. You know what I'm saying? And that's just with anything. You know what I'm saying? So, every man has the right to their own destiny. You can't tell a grown man what he can and cannot say unless you're willing to kill him.
Word up. And
you know what I'm saying?
Let me read this next comment. He said he was being disrespectful. He's a white Puerto Rican just because he's New York. Just because New York black.
A white Puerto Rican. No such thing as a white Puerto Rican.
Just because New York black people give you a pass doesn't mean you have a right to say it. If you don't, if I don't want a Puerto Rican or Latino calling me a ninja. Well, listen, like as far as
So who's qualified to call you a nigga and it be cool then?
Yeah, word up. No, and also too, you in terms of like my Moorish brother.
Jeff, answer that. Hold on. Jeff, answer this question. Who's qualified to call you a nigga and it be all right?
Yo, Q, let me know if you want outsiders.
No, I don't. I just let him type it out.
No, in general, if they come on some preachy shit, they get the boot, bro. Because like,
let him type it out. I don't want to talk to him.
No, in general,
I want to hear to talk to you.
Yeah,
let him type it out.
All right, so nobody else is coming on this evening. I mean, maybe if when Q dips, and I'll be here I'll be here for a very long time this evening. But listen, there's no black or white Puerto Ricans. It's just Puerto Ricans. My brother is as dark as my brother Q. My blood brother is as dark as my brother Q. You know what I'm saying? Like Pablo, the real one, said facts. Great album cover on your profile. I'm not letting a Puerto Rican ninja. He would like it if I called him a spick. That's fighting words. I see what you're saying.
Well, call him a spick then.
It's the way that, I mean,
call him a spick and then get into a fight.
Yeah, word up. It's
Stop being scary.
You know, like
If
it's like
it's that big of a deal, just go ahead, tit for tat, knuckle up. You know what I mean? Stand on it.
word
Other than that, you just talking.
on the
You
internet.
ain't gonna go up to no Puerto Rican and call no Puerto Rican to spit. You ain't gonna do nothing about it.
The ruler, intelligent leader said, "Never trust anybody that," he quotes, "No, never trust anybody that loves money. Nobody got paid for Malcolm X and Martin Luther King. We did it for the love and freedom, not greed." Isaiah White says the word ninja shouldn't be used. It shows our influence. H popularized it. Prior to HHPR were using it like that. I'm not sure who was HH, but listen, I was on like last night. I was on a panel, and it was a bunch of FBA brothers coming at my throat the whole entirety of the time. They were referring to themselves as the ninjas several times.
Yeah.
Once I disappeared from the chat, they started fighting amongst themselves. You know what I'm saying? Like I know how my brothers behave. You
Yeah,
know what
because they're mentally dead. That's why
up. The dude was retarded too. I think his name was like Hebrew. Damn, Hebrew some shit. A dude
they
from
want to
Philly.
compel you to think the way they think, but they still call themselves niggas in the same breath.
And the dude was coming off like a fucking herb, bro. Like emotional, like fucking I was in these streets before I went to college. Everybody was in the streets and the internet.
Like that
Everybody was
matters.
yeah, bro.
Who cares to glorify being self-destructive?
No, but the thing is too that you know what's the biggest set like what the biggest thing that people try to claim now is the victim Olympics. Now everybody's dad like fucking got lynched. Like yo, like everybody's fucking grandmother saw like yo, like all this crazy shit. I'm like yo, your grandmother was probably around in the 70s, bro. Like where's this shit popping off in New York? You know what I'm saying? Or in the cities that you from, bro. Like these dudes like, but then they'll try to flip it on you. You like, but they try to out emotion you in conversations in an effort to not let you get off. You know what I'm saying? Like you know, like you never been through like that type of racism. Like I haven't been through racism. Like I haven't been fucked up by the cops more than once. You know what I'm saying? But these dudes they base things too off of how white people treat them. Like they think like oh the you know like white people like may be willing more to fuck with Puerto Ricans and like that's why like we don't fuck like they'll use that as an excuse, but it like they big up like the white they always like the big I'm starting to see that the biggest racists are like victimized so-called black dudes, and I ain't want to use more as that for that one. Like let them be I'll let them keep that the
Yo, listen, I'm not trying to tell you how to speak or how not to speak. I'm
oh
just
no
saying
not
what
you
you call me.
no okay
You can use the word how you want to use it. I'm not. I'm just saying what I'm not going to accept when referring to me.
word but
You can
dudes be
call
on the
everybody else
crazy.
black if you want, but I'm not going to accept that.
But I'm noticing that a lot of dudes are racing to be last or racing to be the biggest victims, in spite of the fact that yes, cops in New York City, from my experience, they'll go extra more if they like as far as pulling over black dudes. Like they could spot them easier. As far as shitting on black dudes, if they so-called black, my bad, if they get the opportunity.
Mm.
But having said that, though, I mean, like Puerto Ricans don't get racisted upon by like fucking the same powers that be. From my experience, I mean, like you know, come on, like that's retarded. You know, but also too, like you know, some of the diluted history that was that these dudes because these dudes be taking little bits of history and then making it the whole picture. Like the example I gave you where they said the movie Fresh that came out in the 90s was when Puerto Ricans started using the N-word in New York. But they were also saying that the Bloods were created because Latin dudes were setting it, or Puerto Ricans were setting it on them. And that's why they were created. That may be true, but the Bloods came out in at least the late 80s, early 90s as it pertains to New York. Am I right? The earliest case of Bloods 90 maybe or like late night or early 90s.
Well, I'm sure that there have been Bloods in New York City prior to like maybe the early 90s,
Yeah,
because there were Bloods in New Jersey way before there were Bloods in New York City.
no, New York, like keep it New York
Right?
centric though.
So, you know, there are plenty of people that did videos online that talked about the origin of the UBN, United Blood Nation, here in New York City, via Rikers Island or the penal system, you know, and you have the non-trade gangsters. They are the non-trade gangsters because it was established in 1993, non-trade 93. So 1993 is supposedly their founding date, the UBN Bloods here in New York City, in Rikers Island, or
And shout out to
the
my
penal
my
system.
moves and all my bloods out there. You know, like nothing against Crips. You know, like shout out to them too. But we speaking on them and one
Yeah,
love.
so you know, I don't speak on the origin of why the blood started because I'm not a blood and I can't speak intelligently on something that I don't have a great knowledge on.
Well, the thing is that they're
Right.
trying to obfuscate the fact that like, oh, they making it seem that like hip hop was created in the in early 70s. Bloods were, from what I understood, were created at the early 90s, the earliest. But they're trying to like spice up the issue as if Puerto Ricans and black people are always in some sort of battle in New York City. When logistically that's impossible. Everybody got to fuck with everybody in some form or fashion in New York City. You all got to take the same trains. So ain't no like outright like, yo, we just don't fuck with black dudes as Puerto Ricans as a whole tenor. Like, you know, that's not the case. Like across,
Well, you know, in
except
the
in Boston,
80s,
even then.
in the early 80s, in the 80s, in the early 90s, there was a gang in New York City called the Ball Busters,
Damn, I'm surprised you remember that.
right? The Ball Busters were the arch rivals to the Zulu Nation. If you get caught in one particular area and you was wearing Zulu colors and Ball Busters found you, you would probably die, and vice versa. The majority of the members of the Ball Busters were Dominicans, right? Maybe some Puerto Ricans, maybe some brothers, but the majority of the membership were Dominicans. However, at this time, the majority of the membership of the Zulu Nation were brothers. You might have had a few Puerto Ricans here and there that were members of the Zulu Nation, but it wasn't like it is today. Like when in the 90s, you know, I think the Zulu Nation membership grew with quote unquote Latinos, right? With brothers that are Puerto Rican and Dominican and so forth and so on. When I first joined the Zulu Nation, the chapter that I joined was located out near Left Rack City in that area, right? Woodhaven,
For those that don't know.
right? The majority of members were Colombian of that chapter. The chapter leader was Colombian, right? No, the vice president was Colombian. The chapter leader was Dominican. When I became a member, I flipped it. Most of those people faded out. I brought it to my neighborhood and we changed the complexion and it became majority brothers. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, but that was just because of my influence when I brought it to Hollis, Queens.
Respect.
So, you know, you had gangs like the Ball Busters. You had gangs like Dominican Power. You had gangs like DDP. DDP short for Dominicans Don't Play. You had gangs like Dominican Dark Side, right? What else? You had gangs like Nietas, right? You had Latin Kings. You had La Familia. right? These are just some of the popular ones in New York City. And none of them were friendly to people that called themselves black. None of those organizations. You know what I'm saying? So, I'm not trying to create any idea that is a false narrative of what was going on with the gang culture during that time. You know what I mean? But when I was a teenager, I was in the streets from Queens, Brooklyn, and the Bronx. You got to get to Bronx, you got to pass through Harlem. Queens, Brooklyn, Bronx, Harlem. I was all over the place. I was lit wherever there was Zulus at, I was there. I was all over where Zulus are at, especially Zulus in my age range, right? And whenever Zulus had problems, I was pulling up. I'm pulling up with my chapter. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of times we was beefing with what's the term? Mataton, whatever it is. It was the prerequisite to Trinitario, whatever their name is, right?
Matatone, like the
Yeah, whatever. What that word means?
it means like big time killer, like in Dominican.
Exactly. Well, there was a gang in the Bronx called that, right? That is the precursor to what they call the Trinitarios or whatever. How I don't speak Spanish, so my pronunciation
Shout
is
out to the
crazy,
Trinitarios too.
right? So they're the precursor to that. Zulus was beefing with them. Why? Because they had this thought in their mind that Dominican people are superior. You know what I'm saying? And that, nobody else, should exist around them.
And
And,
that's okay.
and I'm not tripping about that.
Yeah, bro.
But however, if your thoughts interfere with our thoughts and our ability to exist, then it's a problem.
we got into beef with DDP that's the first time I ever went to Washington Heights. My whole life beefing with DDP.
Yeah.
With the zips.
Yeah.
Let me read some of these other comments though. I just watched an insightful debate on Moor's TV with Doggy Diamonds. The topic was Fat Joe wrong about this statement. And that's another thing too. Whatever Fat Joe says doesn't represent me. I'm not here advocating for Fat Joe. I think Fat Joe is a regular ass 4 out of 10 MC. You know what I'm saying? Like, but anybody, like, so people like, oh, so what do you think of Dr. Cologne? I'm like, yo, I don't even know who the fucking Dr. Cologne is. I'm just speaking from my perspective and my only statement out of all this from Jump Street, since I've been discussing this debate, is that hip hop started in the early 1970s in the Bronx. If hip hop was outside, hip hop is a party culture, and it was outside, Black people would not tell Puerto Ricans, don't come through. You'd have to be a homo, like, to tell like Puerto Rican women, like, you can't show up to this party because you're a Puerto Rican. It just wouldn't exist in the Bronx. It's impossible. So if hip hop started in the early 70s, my contention is that whatever month date that took off, they were probably likely Puerto Ricans there a month or two later, maybe in the same week, at least as far as purveyors partying in the same ciphers, like taking part of these same parties. You know, like and that's not a bit, that doesn't mean we created hip hop, like that doesn't mean any, like, we like, but everything, like people want to obfuscate history, like just like in a sense to like hate on either New Yorkers, Puerto Ricans, for the sense of this debate. Like, stop it, bro. Like, I mean, like, because a lot of this like conversations, I could have it with my peoples in the flesh, and we could go deep into like race and like how we've been mistreated by each other's like nationalities, but that, motherfuckers wouldn't get up in arms. Whereas like, in some of these comments at times, like a motherfucker call you tether, Goya bean. I'm not tripping on that shit because I know like that's not how all brothers get down. Like, I know all don't feel that way, but there's some herbs that like, all right, like, the fact that the race Puerto Ricans, that there are racist Puerto Ricans that like at times even get physical with their with these matters in New York City, that's not representative of all Puerto Ricans, one. And Puerto Ricans were wherever so-called black people were in the Bronx in the early 70s. Pretty much every project. Some dude was saying that in Bronxdale projects there were no Puerto Ricans. And this dude from Philly, I'm like, yo, like every Van Sicklen, like Brownsville, one of the blackest projects probably in the system has Puerto Ricans. Queensbridge is a more black project than the average project had Puerto Ricans since the probably 50s, bro. Come on.
Yeah, Queensbridge got mad Puerto Ricans out there in Queensbridge.
Every project New York City has Puerto Ricans, bro.
I'm certain of that, because Queensbridge is the largest projects in New York City. They got like over 100 buildings in Queensbridge.
The worst project in New York City.
Right? I know when I was younger, high school, it was mad Latin Kings that lived in Queensbridge. I don't think it's like that anymore because Bloods run Queensbridge.
Yeah.
Right? However, I know it's Crips out there too, but I know Bloods run Queensbridge, right? For the most part. But I don't know what took place with Spanish, so-called Spanish people, Puerto Ricans, and Bronxdale projects or even Bronx River in that time, because I wasn't there. But what I know is this: gangsters, gang members created hip-hop. So if you was in a gang that was adverse to the founders of hip-hop, who were gang members, you couldn't come to their parties or their parks to party. Right? So what were some of the gangs that existed in that time that were predominantly Spanish people, Spanish-speaking people? Right? You had the Ghetto Brothers. Ghetto Brothers were predominantly Spanish-speaking people. It was brothers a part of them, but it was mostly Spanish. Ghetto Brothers didn't get along with the Black Spades. Supposedly, it was a Black Spade that killed one of the main leaders of the Ghetto Brothers.
Black Benji?
Exactly, right? Supposedly. I wasn't there, but this is the story, right? You watch the documentary, they talk about how the brother got killed. Supposedly, it was a Black Spade that did it. I wasn't there, right? But why? When it was actually trying to establish a truce, right? But they wasn't messing with them, right? Another game that existed out there, you had the Savage Skulls and the Savage Nomads. Now, I know that there were some brothers that were down with them. However, these were majority of Spanish-speaking people that were members of these groups. They didn't mess with the Black Spades, right? Chingalings, motorcycle group, right? And street gang. Majority Spanish-speaking members. They did not mesh with the the Black Spades. They didn't mesh with the Zulu Nation out there either. However, today they might be cool because, water on the bridge, that's 50, 60 some years ago, you know what I mean? When the beef was taking place, and they ain't tripping no more. But I know they didn't get along. So these gangs that were with membership were Spanish speaking members did not go to Bronx River Projects to go hear Africa Bambaataa and DJ Jazzy J get busy on the turntables, while hundreds of people from all over the city was coming out there to chill. You know what I'm saying? You couldn't go to Bronxdale Projects, right? Rosedale Avenue, go to Rosedale Park, right? If you was not a Black Spade, right? Or member of the Zulu Nation, or a Tomahawk, because Tomahawks from Brooklyn were like brothers to Black Spades. You know what I'm saying? So you had to be in the mix. You had to be united with this particular gang to get into their projects. And the Black Spades ran the Bronx. The Zulu Nation ran the Bronx. These were the people that was introducing hip hop culture to New York City. So you're not going to Bronx River Projects or Bronxdale Projects or maybe what Mitchell's or whatever those projects was in the South Bronx, in the East Bronx, where these particular groups were dominant at and party amongst them if you was an enemy to them.
So it's unlikely that a Puerto Rican cat would pull up on some P shit to a party like this,
Unless you lived in the neighborhood.
as far as even if they lived, because
Or
there
be
was
a non-affiliate.
what I'm saying is like that there were definitely Puerto Ricans in Bronx River and every project, my assumption,
This is an assumption. You wasn't there though.
but how big you've been to Bronx River though, right?
I've been in the Bronx River since the mid-90s.
How big is that project though?
It's
like
big, but it
tremendous.
is I can tell you this. Today, you go to Bronx River Projects and there's mad Spanish people out, Spanish-speaking people out there, right? All up and down. From the train station, Soundview Morrison on the 6th train, walk up the block, you see nothing but Spanish-speaking people, right? From the bus stop of the Q44, you see nothing but Spanish-speaking people on the outskirts of the projects as well as inside of the projects, right? One of the most popular Zulu members in New York City is Puerto Rican, and he lives in Bronx River Projects, and that's my loved one. I'm not gonna say his name, but he from Bronx River Projects. However, what was Bronx River like in the 80s and the 70s? I don't know.
But it would be what I'm saying is that it would be almost a logistical impossibility to say not one Puerto Rican lived in Bronx.
I'm not gonna say not one. I was not there. See, this is one thing I never had a problem with, Aki, is saying that I don't know. If you ask me a question I don't know, I'm gonna keep it 100. I don't know.
I can't
But I'm not going to assume either.
Yeah, I can't definitively say either. But the thing is that the framing that the cats I was talking to yesterday, who are not of New York and don't know how the dynamic works, they made it seem as if no Puerto Ricans live in these projects. And I'm just saying that these buildings, they're humongous. Bronx River probably has at least 20 buildings.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna tell you this. I know that it wasn't a popular thing for Spanish people to be members of the Black Spades because it took some time for them to allow Spanish members to become. Because I think eventually they had a division that was dedicated to so-called Spanish people or Spanish-speaking people, right? This is what I was told growing up. So through the Zulu Nation, right? And Zulu Nation embracing a universal perspective and solidarity with people of all nationalities, races, and creeds is when you started to see quote unquote Spanish people become members of an organization that was dedicated to solely people of African descent. Right? So the Zulu Nation initially was specifically, predominantly, quote unquote, Black or people of African descent. How do I know that? It's because when you had the organization called the organization, right? Because before Zulu Nation was called the Zulu Nation, it was called the organization. And these was just brothers from Bronx River Projects. There was no Spanish people or Spanish-speaking people that were members of that group. And they ran Bronx River Projects. And eventually, Bambaataa came up with the name the Zulu Nation, and everybody switched and jumped on that bandwagon. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just saying for the dominant culture, I'm not saying that there wasn't nobody there that spoke Spanish. However, I know that there are dark-skinned people that speak Spanish, right? You know what I mean? So it'd be, unintelligent for me to say that there was none there. However, I know that if it was a minority.
Exactly, bro.
It was a
These dudes made
minority.
it seem like as if like Black people like didn't start building with Puerto Ricans or like didn't start getting any way involved with Puerto Ricans up until like recent history or some shit.
No, I don't think that's true either.
Yeah,
Because
it's
you got to
fucked
think
up.
about it like this: like you had neighborhoods that was dedicated to communities, like Spanish Harlem. Spanish Harlem was predominantly Puerto Ricans, right? So they had groups that was specific to them. Like you had the group from the west side of Manhattan called West Side Familia, predominantly Puerto Ricans. You had the Young Lords, right? Predominantly Puerto Ricans and other Spanish speaking people. You know what I'm saying? So, these particular communities is where you would go and you know that you was going to bump into people that fit that particular description or phenotype. You know what I'm saying? So I think as years to come, maybe in the late 80s, where people started to become displaced and needed to find homes, and the state, New York State, was just sending people anywhere, you know what I mean? Regardless of what you look like, oh, we're gonna put you in Queensbridge Project, or we're sending you to 40 Project, we're sending you to Edgemere, and you go on to Redfern, and then you go on to Tompkins, and you go on to Marcy. But in the 80s, early 80s, these were predominantly quote unquote black communities.
Respect. Let me
Yeah,
read
you know
some of
what I
the
mean?
let me read some of the other comments too, real
Yeah.
quick. Hip hop is HH is hip hop. Somebody said FBA is FBI. I don't know. Does anyone fight anymore nowadays? A street disagreement will turn into a crime scene quickly. Yeah, bring fighting back. Bring fair ones back. K Flex, aka Tariq, is an Asian provocateur. He co-opted this FBA madness from ADOS, which was started as an organization for reparations. I don't know about any of that stuff.
Yeah, I don't know about that
ADOS
either.
FBA is not disqualified to define African Americans or speak on our behalf, and as neither of these groups are Afrocentric or pro-black. I don't agree with a lot of those terminologies. In 2025, you know what I'm saying? New year. My brothers are not all descended from African slaves. Cops need to catch Moors and give them history books. I mean, your history books are what got you tripped up, though, my brother. Fat Joe needs to use other slang like kid, son, homie, or dog to express himself instead of N so much. That's the problem. We wouldn't look at him sideways so much. But he's been saying the N word since the early 90s. Why don't you check him then? Question: why are older men pushing this division in the hood? The young kings are all united. Don't mess up the peace and unity. You go to New York right now, you're seeing younger blacks and PRs together.
When and
I
where?
don't know, bro. Like the
Where?
people, like right now, New Yorkers are especially the young ones, are semi-retarded, bro. Like, and
I don't see that.
yeah, they're fighting. They don't even need an excuse to fight each other nowadays, bro. Like they'll set trip on fucking. I was born and raised in Philadelphia. We have the second highest Puerto Rican population in the country, behind only New York City. They were a huge part of my culture. Respect. I lived in Philly for a few months. Blacks are disrespectful. Quit the cap. Anyone can get it. Everybody's disrespectful. Dominicans are known for being dope dealers. That's a blanket assumption. The concept of this merry-go-round, as invented by Herc, symbolizes the idea of looping or repeating breaks. This technique is fundamental to the identity of hip hop. I think you left that same comment, copy and pasted in my regular comment section. SLP ground.
Nigga, that's all you got to say. You ain't got nothing else to talk about.
I'm glad. No, and regardless, even if y'all disagree or like like I bring it all. I get no love on this channel, man. Like appreciate everybody even for coming through, whether you speak in facts or not. To fully appreciate the significance of Herc's merry-go-round, one must understand that it laid the foundation for breakdancing. Without it, both the merry-go-rounds and the break hip hop culture itself have emerged too flat. Like that's a lot, though, man. Like because it's basically all right. Like this person invented it rather than that person, and that's like tripping people up on this debate. Because then everybody on the internet got input as to what's first, and Guy is mixing Puerto Rican and Dominicans. I don't know what guy you're talking about though. Hector Diaz, elaborate. Julio played a pivotal role in establishing the graffiti movement in New York from 1967. There was graffiti happening before that too, though, my brother. But the graffiti, as in what my man Q and I know of, as far as like how it relates to like hip hop culture, like really didn't start getting up probably 70s. You know what I'm saying? Like as far as people bombing, doing graffiti as we know it. The original creator of breaking is Spy, a Puerto Rican who is confirmed by her, Crazy Legs, and every real breaker. I don't know about that, bro, because I mean, Crazy Legs is not that much older than me. I mean, was he around in the very beginning? No, the thing is
Crazy
that
Legs is definitely in his 50s.
yeah, I mean that we we're damn near. But the OGs of hip hop are probably in their late 60s. You think?
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Crazy Legs is like 55 years old right now.
So in the
You know,
hierarchy of like the OGs of hip hop, he's still like a younger cat. You know what I'm saying? And he's not an originator. He ain't invent breaking. It's just that Rocksteady Crew is the most famous breakdancing collective in the world. I mean, like, and that's not to say that he's an authority because of that, but I mean, like they people like want to act too in this sake of this corny ass debate, and that like Puerto Ricans like started breakdancing in the late 80s or some shit, like with revisionist history. Like, and I'm not here capping for Puerto Ricans, like, name the Puerto Ricans, then I don't know who you're talking about. The last poets were comprised of individuals from African and Caribbean backgrounds, not FBA. Nah, because I mean that you lose me with the African part though.
the last poets that was a group, right? Who made that song Niggas is Scared of Revolution.
I don't know.
They made the
James
song
Bond.
Niggas is Scared of Revolution. All
Oh,
they want to do is bullshit and party and
oh
bullshit.
yeah, okay.
That was the last poets.
All right, that's a great song too, but I didn't know it was them though.
Mm-hmm.
He's just naming all the Caribbean and Latin people that contributed
Yeah.
to hip hop. Respect to.
Yeah, he doing too much though.
Yeah,
Nobody ain't
no,
gonna got
and
time to read all that.
also, in relation to like West Indian brothers, I mean, like, as far as my experiences as a New Yorker, like, you and I are cool with like a lot of the dudes that we consider our brothers are West Indian. You know what I'm saying? Like, however, like as far as like how West Indians link up with Moors of America, um, to me as a Puerto Rican, I always viewed myself not to my peoples, but phenotypically, I always thought, I mean, or by race tripping, if you will, that Americanized Jamaicans are more like prone to link up with Moors than they would like Puerto Rican cats. And that's not saying anything bad about them or like, but they like you wouldn't be able to tell an Americanized Jamaican unless they told you. Like I just found out one of my mans was Jamaican. I thought it was something else.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? As far as one of our peoples.
Yeah.
But they like I don't know if you know the brother Carl, like he's Panamanian, he don't know a lick of English, but he looks black as shit.
No, he don't know a lick of Spanish, you mean.
Oh, Spanish, my bad.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
he's Panamanian. And the dude's a straight up brother, he's a brother, bro. Like nobody like, nobody like he doesn't identify like as far as what people think Latin people like people think all Latin dudes are like Mexican. I don't know, like people like because a lot of people like honestly online never even encountered a Puerto Rican in real life, a Dominican in real life. They only know like J-Lo or some shit, like and they like I don't know, they like they're making up a vision of what they think like all these groups are. Like all of a sudden now, like Jamaicans are like trying to take over hip hop and like shit on like American. There was a dude yesterday. I hate to bring up like shit that happened with conversation with ignorant cats, but in the panel I was on yesterday, there was a dude from the Bronx who was a little bit older than me, and he's like saying like fuck all these groups, and he was like, I'm half white and half black, and I grew up in the Bronx. and like he's like shitting on Puerto Ricans, shitting on Jamaicans, Dominicans, like all these Caribbean groups. He's naming them and like fuck them, like. And he's like, I'm half white. I'm like, yo, I'm thinking like, yo, I never ran into many half white, half anything like coming up. Like, if in fact, if they did, they were like in the cut, but they like, it wasn't a mix that you would see that often. You know what I'm saying? But like, you get a lot of cats. I'm assuming pretty soon that you're going to see a lot of cats, just like ADOS, of like these Patrick Mahomes, like mixed cats that all of a sudden they're the black authority now, like, with in relation to this debate. And like they're very spicy when they address other people, like, oh, fuck this one, fuck that one by nationality. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like when it like that kind of time is like not playing out in like New York City historically, from what I know, it just can't happen, like, because you have to live amongst each other in New York, whether you like each other or not. But you leave it up to these dudes, and they make it seem like there's some revolutionary in every move they make because they're on the internet. You know what I'm saying? Like, but I like I rather make these conversations like the one we're having this evening, like more constructive rather than like fucking trying to X dudes out and say what they're not or what they are.
Yeah.
So and go like but also I want to discuss your experience as far as like what like the Puerto Rican experience, like that you have had, like so. And definitely that like Puerto Ricans have our own culture. A lot of us speak Spanish. We were the first real deep Spanish group in New York City, from what I know.
Yeah.
Like the ones that first showed up in force, like in the 50s. But at the end of the day, I mean, like Puerto Ricans, like we have our own lane. I mean, and that's not a problem. You know what I'm saying? Like the fact that like, we identify like with our country, like, or our island. The fact that, if we go to jail, we got, like you'd be a herb, like to like let anybody of your own country or your own nationality get sunned up by somebody else on the strength of the fact, on the strength of like your own nationality, or you don't want your own nationality to become wreck, but like a lot of times that's not the reason as to why Puerto Ricans that are racist behave in that capacity. I mean, like there are many times that I've seen Puerto Ricans refer to black people as morenos, and they're saying it in a negative connotation with venom in their tongue. And I know you heard that too, right? And
when I was younger, I thought the word morena was a negative word.
I did too. When they say it in a negative connotation in most cases,
because they're dead in the head too.
Of course.
Yeah.
Like these dudes are like trying to big up, like in a sense, what they feel is their Spanish lineage, which that might not even be a fucking real thing.
Yeah. But I remember living in Hollis, Queens. Matter of fact, prior to living in Hollis, Queens, I was born in Brooklyn. I lived in Crown Heights, Brooklyn, on Carroll Street between Utica and Rochester. I don't remember one Puerto Rican person on my block. Let me say this. The typical phenotype, right? Or the popular phenotype of Puerto Rican people, I don't remember seeing them in my neighborhood in Jamaica, in Brooklyn, Crown Heights, Brooklyn, right? But when I moved to Hollis, Queens, they were everywhere. Some of my first friends were Puerto Ricans. Right. And their family had love for my family. Right. I'm over their house all the time. And vice versa. My man Peter was over my crib all the time also. You know what I'm saying? I go over his crib. His his grandmother trying to get me to drink the Maltas, right? She had a whole cases of them in the kitchen. My mom, she's like, you can't drink that. It got liquor in it, right? Got alcohol in it. My family was cool with his family. I don't have a negative experience with Puerto Rican people only up until I became a late teenager, when I started to experience those prejudices and quote unquote racial undertones, you know what I mean? And it wasn't accepted, you know what I mean? But we wasn't tripping either. But you're not going to disrespect us. So now we got to fight if you happen to, overstep those boundaries. So, I remember when I was a young man beefing with Latin Kings, and the Latin Kings that I was beefing with, I wasn't beefing with strangers. I was beefing with guys that was, grew up in my neighborhood. The only Puerto Rican family in the project section of my neighborhood, um, and when they became members of the Latin Kings, they took on these ideas that they probably were better than so-called black people, because I didn't hear Cocolos and Moreno until I became a teenager. And it was not because I was being called that, but I would hear other brothers, some of this quote unquote Spanish speaking members of the Zulu Nation from my neighborhood would tell me that Latin Kings was pressing them like, yo, why you messing with them Cocolos? Why you fucking with the Zulu Nation? You need to be with the Latin Kings.
Word up.
You know what I'm saying? And that was one of the main reasons why the Zulus in my neighborhood was beefing with Latin Kings, because they was pressing the Spanish-speaking members of my organization or my chapter about such a thing. You know what I mean? And it escalated, because I wasn't trying to defend those who couldn't defend themselves. I'm just like, yo, how you disrespecting us? And you grew up with us. You went to elementary school with each other. Where does these hatred, this hate communication, this hate language, when did it start? Because I don't remember it when you used to come over to the crib and play Nintendo. You know what I'm saying? When we were in elementary school, they could come over to the crib anytime. My mom had love for all of them. You know what I'm saying? Come on, play Nintendo in that crib for hours. You know what I'm saying? So once they became a part of these organizations that embraced these ideas of superiority, you know what I mean, is where a lot of the conflict comes. You know what I'm saying? And I know even in Puerto Rico, just like in Dominican Republic, the Republic of Dominican, and Venezuela and Colombia, even Mexico, the lighter or paler complexion members of those particular nations have a disdain for the darker people in those nations.
At times.
Khalid Muhammad says something interesting. He said, y'all people who be making a big deal about being Muslim and going to Saudi Arabia and, taking a Hajj, going to Mecca, and you saying how things are so great over there. But he said, I can guarantee you that the pale-skinned Arabs treat the dark-skinned Arabs worse than anything. You know what I'm saying? So that dynamic exists in many places. where
Yep.
the lighter complexion, the paler complexion people have a disdain and a hatred towards the dark skinned people. Now, I'm not creating no victim Olympics because I don't care about none of that. Because anybody show me any disrespect is a problem. You know what I'm saying? However, there's a system, a thriving system that exists over, this idea of superiority of one people over another, where
Facts.
one is getting abused because they don't have the dominant culture, right? But at one time, we did have the dominant culture because it was a time when the Moors traversed the whole world and had everybody under his boot, right? The Moors went into Spain. They conquered Spain for almost 800 years. They conquered Italy, almost 700 years. Russia, Ireland, right? People don't even know why what St. Patrick's Day is a representation about. St. Patrick's Day is a celebration of the defeat of the Moors in Ireland, right? So, the culture that exists around the world where the inferior people happen to be the dark-skinned people and the superior happen to be the lighter complexion people, the pale-skinned people, right? So you call that European imperialism, right? And or European psychology, where black is inferior and white is superior. And just so happens that light complexion Puerto Ricans aren't even classified as white, but since they have a phenotype that is closer to white people, some of them take a superior ideology over all the other people that call themselves Puerto Rican. You know what I'm saying? It goes with the Dominicans. And that's why you have a clash between so-called Dominicans and Haitians, right? They're on the same island. You know what I'm saying? So, I'm not ignorant to the existence of the hatred that exists, but what it is because dark-skinned people tend to have a low self-esteem, and a low amount of love for self and pride,
Very
where
true.
they allow themselves to not only be inferior, but they treat themselves as inferior as well. So if you treat yourself less than, you can't get mad when others do the same.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So, I have this idea about love, right? And that's why I create this idea. Brothers don't kill brothers, right? So amongst many people around the world, they have an etiquette, a code of conduct, right? You go to Little Italy, right? Italians treat Italians with the utmost respect, right? You can't come in Howard Beach and show your ass. You know what I'm saying? Maybe today, but 15, 20, 30 years ago, man, listen, you know what I mean? Don't even think about going over there in that neighborhood. You stay clear away, right? Uh, and I respect that. But you go to a community that's considered a black neighborhood, we accept all kind of mistreatments and abuses. And we are the perpetrators of it most of the time on each other. But if we decide that enough is enough, brothers don't kill brothers, right? We would change the tone of how people see us and treat us. You know what I'm saying? So that is superior love. When we come to the conclusion that there should be nobody able to take the life of another man that looks like you. The highest penalty you can imagine is bestowed upon those who do so. You know what I mean? And since we one of a kind, right? And one another look like the other, we should have a higher preference of love for each other. You know what I'm saying? So, that is going to be an act of war anyway, because everybody depends on us to be self-destructive. They depend on us to kill each other. They depend on us to sell drugs to one another. They depend on us to pimp on each other. You know what I mean? To hate each other, to disrespect one another, to have poor education, to not know the words that we use. They depend on us to not know our nationality. They
No, they
depend
hold
on us
on.
to use.
They don't only depend on it. Q. They invest in the fact that they
Yeah,
want more to turn around and crazy.
the dependency, because they invest in it and they say, hey, your ignorance puts my children in school. Your ignorance allows me to make so much money off of real estate. Your ignorance allows me to open up McDonald's, Buffalo Wild Wings, Wingstops, all these different fast food restaurants in your neighborhood that's promoting poor health. We depend on you to eat this food so we can take it back and flourish our communities, right? So our self-destruction, is giving life to everybody else. And the moment we say enough is enough, it's going to be an act of war, because they're going to be like, hold on, you mean to tell me I can't steal the money out of your community? You mean to tell me y'all not going to kill each other? So y'all not going to go to jail no more? Y'all not going to fill up the mortuary no more? They depend on it. They make money off of our self-destruction. You know what I'm saying? But the moment, here comes a Huey P. Newton. Here comes another Elijah Muhammad. Here comes another Marcus Garvey. Here comes another Noble Drew Ali to change conditions in their community. You know what I'm saying? And we gotta want to be those type of men to step up and stand up for that which is right. You know what I mean? And make changes, because if you think your conditions can be better, you would do those things necessary to change the conditions. And I think it starts with brothers not killing brothers.
Word
You know
up.
what I mean? So, my Z, it's getting there, and I gotta
Nah,
be
word
up at
up, man. Good luck. You
four
gotta take
o'clock
off.
for work in the morning. You know
Nah,
what I
nah,
mean? I had to
definitely,
get up
bro.
and build with you though.
Yeah, and I'm gonna stay on. But could you let the people know where to buy it? To buy the Brothers Don't Kill Brothers hat, and could you also leave a comment that way I could post it up on the screen? I'm staying on to anybody who's in the chat. I'm actually gonna put the link out there, but I do want to promote my brother's fantastic hat, and please do support Moorish businesses. Brothers Don't Kill Brothers. If you ain't a brother, I mean, like, and you want to call yourself FBA, I mean, you're still welcome to cop the hat until you get right mentally. Otherwise, I mean, like, do put the website, or do put where they could cop it. That way I could put it out there if you want. But good looks for coming through, Big Q. I appreciate it 100%. You coming back too, so like, make sure you guys get ready for Q round 2 soon.
Yeah. I appreciate you. Send me the link, connect with you. You know what I mean? Build with your audience. You know, I got a YouTube channel as well. Arts, beats, and culture. TikTok, is DBIC_BRAND, as well as for IG. You know what I mean? I get up there, I do my little rants, talking junk about life, you know what I mean, about relationships, about this world. You know what I mean? Sometimes I might talk about a little cryptocurrency, you know what I'm saying? But however, you know what I mean, I just you know, uh, just speaking my mind. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to push no agenda. I'm not trying to get nobody to sign up for anything. You know what I mean? But like minds always find a way to connect with each other. You know what I'm saying? So, and that's why you and I connect all the time. You know what I mean? Because we have similar ideas, and and that's just what it is. In the Zulu Nation, it says that Zulu Nation is no gang. It's an organization of individuals in search of success. Right? I'm interested in success. You could be a non-member of the Zulu Nation and be interested in success, right? And I'm gonna be drawn to you because you have ideas that might help me. I might have some ideas to help you. So, you talk about business minds always find a way to connect with each other. It says, in search of success, peace, knowledge, wisdom, understanding, and the righteous way of life. So those are the things that I like to communicate about being successful, about being peaceful, about knowledge, wisdom, understanding, and the righteous way of life, being a good man.
Word
You know
up.
what I mean? So, that's why I stand on, you know what I'm saying? And that's just what it is.
Yeah.
Again, thank you for
You're an
having me.
exceptional man and an exceptional Moor. Much
Yeah,
success for 2025 too.
yeah, all the time. You already know.
Good looks for coming through too, Q.
Yeah, I'm gonna pull up again. You already know.
I know, I know. Word up, bro. I'm gonna do this more too, man. We both need to be riveting up the socials. But yo, good looks for coming through, and much love for anybody who's here. I'm still gonna continue on.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Go ahead. Enjoy yourself.
Yo, and if you could put it on the comments too, if you remember.
Yeah, yeah. I think I just put up something on the comment in the chat. You know what I mean?
Which is your profile? The ADOS invented country hip hop rock. Nah, I fuck with you.
Yeah, 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 yeah. But salute to everybody who have an idea, whether it be true or false, good or bad. You know what I mean? A mind that doesn't think is not a mind at all. You know what I mean? So keep on thinking. You know what I mean? A wise man said, if I could get you to thinking, you can save yourself. So think. And don't be one of those people that start off a conversation or a sentence with I believe or I feel. You know what I mean? A man should be thinking, not feeling. You know what I'm saying? Thinking is intelligence. And to be God is intelligent. Peace.
Peace, Q. Thank you for coming through. And I'm gonna put Q's socials on the screen. I'm also gonna put the link out for anybody that wants to come through. So long as you don't get my shit kibosh, bro, and like have pants on, and you gotta show your face on video. You don't gotta show it during the span of us conversating if you don't want to, but I do want to make sure that you're a human being and not some weirdo. So while you're waiting to jump onto the show, if you want to come through and contend any notions with me, whether I'm wrong, whether I'm right, you're welcome to do so. I'm gonna put the link out on the chat right now. I just copped or I didn't cop a new computer. Oh, hold on, let me. And this is my man Q's. Again, this is DiBiase. He sells these fantastic hats. Brothers don't kill brothers. A take on the Make America Great hat, but this is a whole type of flair. Moorish owned business and fantastic quality. I love it. I love this hat. My son rocks it too. Um, the but do help support a good brother, whether you agree with him or not. And my son Q, I know him personally. The dude give it up in every direction. Not no, he ain't on no selling incest shit. Like Q will break your jaw. Like and other people will tell you that. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that because he's my people. Like the dude's gets enough respect in the streets. Um. So and there's things that other things that I wanted to expound upon that I just couldn't come up with off the top of the dome. I slept like 2 hours after I talked to that ridiculous standard changing fella last night. I think it was called receipt keepers, something like that. Like I don't know what his name was. I mean, like, but it was just this one dude. I think his name was like Hebrew Prophet or Prophet Hebrew. Dude was like ridiculous, kept changing the subject, emotional. And I can't deal with the emotional shit, my people. It's like, with the whole like you can't speak because of fucking some sort of pain shit. Like it's too much, bro. Like who's good? Who the fuck is this? Sorry about that. I'm gonna put the link out there. via text. Just give me 1 second, my peoples. And I hope you guys are having a fantastic New Year. But well, anyways, I brought up the fact that I went onto that ridiculous channel yesterday. That channel where that ridiculous fellow was speaking. Shout out to that channel too. It was a shame too because there was like 100 and something people like at 3 a.m. or some shit on that channel, and there was like he had like 289 subs, which is ridiculous, and that's on y'all, bro. Because like y'all like, and I'm not saying it for me necessarily too, but y'all should be subscribing to me too, in spite of the fact whether you agree with me or not. Don't be a hoe. But son that was being ridiculous, that channel like from Philly, I don't know, the channel's name was like Receipt Keepers, some shit like that. And it was like the guy who moderated the channel, ran the channel. He wasn't being ridiculous. It was just this one dude that was way going out of pocket, way getting emotional, thinks he knew every fact. He was the expert on every subject that a motherfucker was bringing up. And they just lace it with like the arguments with like fucking emotion. You can't speak emotion. You can't speak emotion. You know, like I know the facts. Like, you know, it's just like talking to your baby. You act like you talking to your baby moms or some shit. Like, you know, in the spirit of trying to win a fucking what you feel is an argument. You know what I'm saying? Like I say, like that hip hop started in I'm over here like looking for the thing to put the invite out on my phone. I got the shit in the here on StreamYard. But I like it got me heated. I'm like, why am I getting like upset? Like, you know, after the fact, because like, you know, these dudes like try to frame like things wrong, or and there's the link for anybody that wants to come through. And listen, I'm contending a lot of these notions on the side that, you know, is experiencing a lot of bigotry in this debate as far as Puerto Rican goes. Like it seems like it's cool like online now for dudes to jump out of pocket, like, you know, to jump out the window and fucking take shots at Puerto Rican cats, like you know, and that's on y'all. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, the I've experienced racism in the past or bigotry in the past. Ain't no thing, and I don't want like motherfuckers feeling bad for me. Like, nah, because at the end of the day, you're putting yourself on wax being a bigot. Like, nothing of what I'm saying is based on bigotry or, you know, like it's based on facts. Like my only fact and the notion that I contend is that Puerto Ricans were around during the creation of hip hop, whereas other dudes like that guy who was getting emotional, Hebrew Prophet, I believe, he's basically trying to remix facts and whatnot, like to in the spirit of trying to reinforce his debate and whatever. But don't like like they'll do that and try to make you look like an enemy, like for contending them, and like, you know, because you're contending them, you know, it's like you're a piece of trash or whatnot, like, you know, and stuff like that doesn't happen in the flesh. Like you could talk about these things like a human being and not get all emotional, but on the internet everybody's emotional, everybody's from the streets, like and dude was saying that like yesterday. He's like, you know, you ain't know I lived that street life and fucking until I went to college. Yeah, all right, bro. Okay, Mr. Internet. You know, like fucking bringing up like who his pops was, like none of like bringing up shit that doesn't relate to the core of the debate that I'm saying, which is simple, very simple. I have to go in circles to try to verify what I'm saying because it's easily provable. And my only contention is that Puerto Ricans were in the same vicinity as my black brothers who are so-called black brothers. We're saying Moors now that created hip hop in whatever project in the Bronx, whether I was Bronxdale, there was Puerto Ricans living in Bronxdale, 70, 71, 72. There was Puerto Ricans living in Bronx River, 70, 71, 72, and beyond till this day. where I have out of towners like telling me like how that dynamic plays out. Like they Puerto Ricans didn't start living there until the 80s. Puerto Ricans didn't start saying the N-word up until the movie fucking Fresh. Like, yo, like, you know this how? Like you you were fucking checking up on internet in the 80s, right? Like before internet existed, you were tuning into how shit played out in New York, or you were getting reports from New York. Yes, my black brothers in New York, like report to me in fucking Sandusky, Iowa, you know, like what the black experience is in New York. Like, come on, bro, like stop fronting, man. Everybody like is an expert at it, like, you know, just for the sake of like trying to prove somebody else wrong. Or everybody's always trying to tell you what you not. You know what I'm saying? Like, and we got to get off that shit. New year, new gear. Your boy bought himself this sweater for Christmas too, oversized, but it was the only one of the size I could find. But you know, I ain't like we ain't on that type of time, bro. Like, and that I keep getting comments like where like people be like, "Oh, what do you think about Fat Joe and what like Derek Cologne said about the issue?" Like, and I ain't even know who the fuck Derek Cologne is. But funnily enough, on that channel that I'm bitching about now, um, that Derek Cologne guy fucking popped up like an hour after I did, and they were ragging him, bro. Like they literally like were insulting him for like 30 minutes straight, like three different people, like with like no input or debate or contention from his part. It was just ragging him for like 10 minutes. Then somebody else would rag him for 10. Shorty started ragging him off at first, a lady. Then some other cat started ragging him, like this dude that was half white, half black from the Bronx, which is a rare mix, I'll say, especially back in the day. I mean, there weren't many black and white people mixed in the Bronx. There were many Puerto Rican and black people that were mixed in the Bronx. But I remember the only white people I knew, like by and large, like especially mixed ones, were like army brats and shit like that. And dude said, like that dude, the black and white cat, and the black and white cat that I'm mentioning on this live stream yesterday, dude was shitting on Dominicans. Dude was shitting on all these Latinos, man. You know, like they ain't let me. Supposedly they didn't allow him to join Rocksteady crew, even though the dude sounded like mad fat and he couldn't breathe. Like, yeah, like dude probably don't even dance. Sounded like a straight herb, and like he's you know, he's all of a sudden has all these bad things happen to him. You know, like just I mean, and it's they do stuff like that, like for the sake of just trying to prove their point. And a lot of times, like the point they're trying to illustrate is not that rap or hip hop is a black art. Hip hop for dummy purposes is black music. You know, 100%. Hip hop was created by so-called black people, which I classify as more. I am no longer calling black people by that title in 2025, and I've kept that shit on the hush. You'd never see me say Moorish shit on this channel, like and I'm not saying that because my man, I am not what you classify part of the Moorish movement, or I don't go to Moorish like temple or church, whatever have you. But I look at Moorish history, and I actually threw it up on the screen, like the oldest edifice or the biggest historic site in Puerto Rico is actually called the Moor, for the sake of my argument, which is El Morro, which is this beautiful building here. Did it pop up, my peoples? Yo, I'm tired of shit, dogs. I am really tired today. I don't know if you guys have seen this building. It's like they put it on like postcards. You may have seen this thing, like that's like the what you see on most pictures, like one of these little sections here. But it's actually a humongous fortification. Even Puerto Ricans, they'll be like, "Oh no, that doesn't mean the more." Like, you know, like they'll like, but the word literally translates to the more. You know, just like in Mexico, there's an area called Mata Moros, which means kill Moors. You know, I mean, you guys may downplay Moorish history, but I'm just pointing out stuff that I see in actual stone. I'm pointing out stuff that I see as far as the oldest national historic site in Puerto Rico being called the more. You know, like I'm not if you guys don't agree, I mean fantastic. But that's the time I'm on in 2025. Let me read some of the comments. Anybody wants to come through again, that's the link. The people who is there saying it, dude. Ryan Jackson, I think I see you before too. Peace, man. Good looks for coming out a second time. Why? Hold on. What the people who is? I'm hoping I didn't miss. Let me read some of the other comments before I get to you. Thank you for coming through, though, Ryan Jackson. Happy New Year. You're more than welcome to come through too. Oh, I saw this commenter earlier with this white picture, saying a lot of these ADOS comments, but built several Black Wall Streets. Check out Seneca Village. American Negroes are the most cosplayed people on earth. I've never seen people cosplay people with low self-esteem. You know, going back to Moorish history too, in Spain, as we speak, there's actually festivals that Isaiah White, man, like I actually peeped you in some of my comments. How you doing, my brother? Good evening.
What's up, man? You hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. How you? Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you too, man. What's good?
Chilling. Where are you from?
The Bronx.
I. What part?
Northeast side, near Gun Hill and Burke Avenue.
Oh, okay. That's what's up, bro.
Yeah. I'm born and raised here all my life, man.
Are you? What's your background? Are you American, Black, quote unquote?
FBA all the way.
Okay, word up, bro. Much love.
No doubt, man.
The floor is yours, my brother. And
Okay. So basically, I would like to explain first of all FBA mean, man. All right. A lot of people getting misconstrued about FBA, right? FBA is just another way of saying Black American, man. Nothing more, nothing less. People are getting so wound up about this phrase or this terminology, FBA. It's just like when they call us African American, or they called us Negro, or they called us whatever. You know, it's just another name for Black American. That's it. It's nothing more, nothing less. Tariq didn't even make up that word. It was Claude Anderson that made that word, and he took upon that word because it signified what Black Americans are in this country. Okay, we're foundational to this country. Our blood, sweat, and tears, okay, created and made this country the way it is. Point blank. All right, it's nothing less or more than what it is. You know, people
Isaiah,
are getting, yeah.
Real quick, I have a general gist of like the FBA thing. I only like frame things a lot of times, like to invite conversation almost, because like FBA is like a new thing, and I'm not dissing it. I'm just saying that a lot like in the past, I always frowned upon like Moorish history is not nothing like that I've looked on as far as like looking at history from the Moorish perspective. I've been doing that for probably about a decade now, at least.
Okay.
So like a lot of times if I framed like I've put a question out in one of my video titles, like is Fat Joe's right? Like I know Fat Joe ain't right about what he's saying, bro. Like Fat Joe's wrong in what he's saying in terms of this debate. But so in the title, I put like titles like "Do FBAs hate Puerto Ricans?" I know that's not the truth. FBA is like but the like where my Black brothers don't hate on Puerto Ricans. And
No.
you know what I'm saying? Like, but I only say that like to spur on the conversation. You know what I'm saying? Like that way we define definitively what it means. Cause I hear a lot of shit, you know, like I even though I know the easiest explanation is your definition, honestly, like American brothers, basically.
Yeah, that's it. Listen, this is my opinion. This is my opinion on it, right? So I was born and raised here in the Bronx, okay? Where hip hop started. All right. I'm 50 years old. I'm not like in the 60s. I'm 50. So my perspective may not be, you know, what the originators were, okay? But a lot of the originators of this culture, okay, which was the early 70s, okay? Late 60s, early 70s, that's when hip hop was originated, okay? There's many aspects that went into early hip hop, okay? Around that time, from my research, okay, because I wasn't born around that time. I was born in 75. But from my research, okay,
And your experience too, because you're actually hearing these stories. You
Yes.
grew up around these stories.
Yes, yes. Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. Listen, I'm from the Bronx, man. It's Puerto Rican and black here, okay? Puerto Rican, black, Jewish, white, all kind of different nationalities here in the Bronx, okay? Now, the relationship that Puerto Ricans have with blacks, you know, for the most part, when I was growing up, was all right. You know what I'm saying? I mean, for what I saw, okay? But it wasn't always like that. The Puerto Rican, it wasn't always like that. And because you got to understand the times. The times in the late 60s, early 70s was civil rights movement, black power movement. It was segregation. It was turmoil. It was Vietnam veterans coming back from Vietnam. It was so much stuff going on at the time. People not understanding that. Okay. And you got to understand the time. You can't just equate hip hop and not understand what was going on at that time. All right. The Black Spades, okay, was created because of that racism that was going on at that time. All right. A lot of people don't understand that. This wasn't just a group that just started for no reason. They started because
between like Puerto Ricans and black, or like racism in general.
Well, from both sides. You know, they were saying that they were getting, discriminated from both sides, white boys and Spanish boys, Latino boys. So it was a direct result of all that. Okay, it was racism. You know what I'm saying? So don't get me wrong, there were Latinos.
There wasn't a main driver, I think, though, because and I actually got to chop it up with a lot of the Black Spades coming up, as far as in the anniversaries and whatnot. It seemed like the outlaw culture, like in the Bronx, seemed to be like just all out war. Even though maybe like Black Spades, a lot of them were black. I mean, like, and then you had, like my brother was saying, the Ghetto Brothers were like a Puerto Rican gang. There were a lot of gangs that were more one than like in nationality. And I know, like, if they had beef, and like if Ghetto Brothers had beef, let's say with Black Spades, they'd be like, "Yo, we gotta set it on these Morenos." You know what I'm saying? Like, like I'm not gonna act like, "Oh my God, like that happened," like fucking like that's like that's not reality. Racism exists, bro. Dudes be bugging like and act like you just shouldn't look through things through race, like, or otherwise you're a racist. Like, bro, like in real time, your brain got to make decisions, and you're from New York.
That's right.
Like,
that's right.
But like, if there's a train full of young dudes, bro, I'm like, all right, bro, I gotta go to the next. You know what I'm saying? Like,
of course, that's common sense.
Yeah, bro. Like, but and honestly too, like, not to cut your wisdom, quote unquote minorities, like whether that be Puerto Ricans, my black brothers, which I call Moors. We're a logical people, bro. Like, I mean, like, we're very much the same in a lot of sense. Honestly, when like my peoples at times like have race tripped and they'll say like nasty words. But we can't like front also too, like, like black dudes don't set it on Puerto Ricans, bro. Like, black dudes are thorough. If a mark's a mark, recreation is recreation. If I see somebody that I want to make wreck, it's gonna happen almost regardless of color. If I want to come up on and rob somebody, come on, like,
it's common sense.
Yeah,
that's being in the hood.
Yeah,
but my because all this stuff going on, my brother, it's crazy. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy. I mean, to me, okay, let me get to Fat Joe. Okay, my opinion on Fat Joe, right? Because like I was telling you in the chat, the things, I mean, Fat Joe, he grew up around blacks. He did all that. You know what? Listen, there's so many slang words you can use to express yourself. The nigga. I mean, I think Fat Joe has to learn how to, for my opinion, he has to learn how to extend his vocabulary to, express himself better than using the word nigga all the time. It's not that he uses it, but he uses it excessively. Because you know what? I'm gonna be honest with you, man. I'm a college educated black man. Okay, I went to school. I'm also from the hood. I'm from the Bronx. I grew up in the ghetto. I grew up in the hood. Okay,
you went to school in the Bronx?
No, yeah, I went to elementary and public school and all that type of stuff in the Bronx, and high school in Harlem, right? But I went to college down south. Okay, I went to HBCU. Okay,
Nice.
and I graduated from HBCU back in the late '90s. Okay, so I know how to, how to adapt to speak a different way or to speak more properly in the times I need to. I know how to speak, from the hood when I need to, but I also know how to use my words properly or correctly. Okay, there's certain things you gotta. There's certain ways you gotta use your tongue to express yourself better than express it using the N word so much. You understand? And I think he has to learn how to do that. But I don't think he is because he's too proud to do that. You understand? He wouldn't be going through what he's going through now if he was able to do that. People look at him with more respect instead of looking at him like he's stupid. Because what he said, was stupid. I mean, the 50-50 thing and all that, that's his opinion. It's not 50-50. Black Americans created hip hop as we know it, okay, with others, around. That's known. I mean, that's never been an issue up until recently. It's always been a known fact that Black Americans created hip hop. Okay,
hip hop is, like I said earlier, hip hop is what you would lazily describe as Black music, through and through.
Yes. Now, okay, so basically, what you talk about Black music, okay, but you gotta look at African Bambaataa did something when he made those 5 elements. Okay, he was trying to what he was trying to do. He was trying to get Black and Spanish together from killing each other. Okay, because back in those times, it was war. Blacks and Puerto Ricans were killing each other on the street. So what how can I say? He packaged everything that was going on into hip hop, into the name hip hop. But only thing that was going on was it was Black culture, man. Let's face it out. It was Black culture with others around to enjoy what we were doing. Okay, other nationalities, meaning Puerto Ricans, Jamaicans, whoever else, Peruvians, Dominicans, whoever else was around, enjoyed to what we were doing, and they participated in what we were doing.
Could I interject on a point you just made?
Yes.
And you're actually right too, and also, and you could actually testify to this, like especially early hip hop.
Yes.
All these nationalities that you described, they all enjoyed hip hop in the same way. Like Jamaicans know how to dance, Puerto Ricans know how to dance, Black people know how to dance. Maybe like we weren't like hitting like on the MC tip. Like a lot of Puerto Ricans like are not the greatest, or like Fat Joe's not a great MC. Like,
of course.
The fact that he exists like kind of fucks up Puerto Ricans in the hip hop game, even before this.
Yes,
but Big Pun is nasty. I'll give him that. Like, Big Pun is one of the nastiest to me.
Nice.
But we enjoyed hip hop the same way. You know what I'm saying? Like, we both like when the jams happened, bro. Puerto Ricans, like, especially if they knew English, bro. Especially if you were from the same building as like per se like Black Spades, and those are your brothers, whether you were a Black Spade or not. Like, dudes in my building are the first people I love, like besides my brothers. People from my block are the first people I love. Like the first kids I played with, were from my building, regardless of the color. I mean, and they were Black and Latin kids. But like, I don't think that Black dudes would have said in many scenarios, like, yo, these Puerto Ricans can't come through. Because I know how the projects are in the Bronx, bro. Like, in the projects, I mean, if we from the same, like, if we're from the same, like, building and whatnot, and I love you, you can't tell my man that I love, he can't come. Oh, and another thing, Isaiah White, what it is with the Puerto Rican shorties, bro, especially in the Bronx. You think Black men would tell them, yo, they can't come through because they're Puerto Rican?
Hey, listen, that was the driving force behind hip hop, bro. You know what I'm saying? A lot of the Spanish, Puerto Rican young ladies like to see what was going on. They came to the jams, they came to the parties. That's what brought, more Puerto Rican people to the jams because of the Spanish females. And a lot of the early Puerto Rican pioneers even made a mention to young ladies. That's what the young ladies saw, and they wanted to be a part of that because of the young ladies. They saw the ladies at the jams. They saw the ladies at the parties. So that was one of the driving forces behind hip hop, early hip hop, is the females coming to the party. You know what I'm saying? They want to get the females. I mean, we men, we like, women, and we love women, and we want to come and we want to be a part of that.
Hip
So
hop
that's
is party culture. Yeah. If you have a party with all dudes, it sucks.
It's exactly. Come on, come on, man. So I mean, yeah. So there's a lot of aspects of this whole, debate that people are not seeing. Okay, and but for the most part, in the early, I'm talking about early hip hop. You understand? Early hip hop. I'm talking about early '70s. Okay,
I'm like only speaking beginnings of hip hop.
Yes, yes.
And that's the thing. Like, and again, like too, I want to reinforce the notion, Isaiah White. And thank you for coming through again too, man. I love conversating, bro. Like, yo, is it nothing but love, bro? Like, fuck, you know what I'm saying?
Never love, my brother. Never love, man.
Yo, are you not surprised that we hit 2025 on top of that too?
Yeah, man. Hey, listen. I thank God that we here, but I can't believe we here talking about this issue though.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be an issue, backwards. Man. No, yeah, we're going backwards, man.
And inspire and like I know for sure, bro. Like Puerto Ricans aren't pussy neither, bro. Neither are my black brothers, bro. Like if you we beef all the time, like it shit happens. Yeah. But like in New York, like another thing too that other outsiders don't understand is that New York, the beef culture in New York is a lot different than anywhere else. Because in my block, like we had beef with the people around.
You in Brooklyn, right? You in Brooklyn. I didn't cut you. You in Brooklyn.
I like me and Q have a lot of people in the Bronx. Like we came up like we would like a lot of our people are on Bronx River. I'd go to like Cedar Park, Burnside. I fuck with the Bronx a lot.
Okay.
In New York, like in the Bronx too, bro. Like you have beef with like. In the projects, like you got beef with the other building in the other side of the project. Or you got beef is like real close.
Yeah.
And beef in New York gets ugly regardless, bro. Like I mean, and then you add like Latin Kings, you add like gangs like that are banging
the
on
Crips, the Bloods, Nietas. You have around my way you have like a lot of blocks versus blocks. You know what I'm saying? We used to have this thing, I'm over here in the East Chester projects, and we used to have beef with cats from the Valley. Cats from Section 5 in Co-op City. We used to have beef with cats from Gun Hill Projects. We used to have beef with cats from Edenwald. So, and there's always that like rivalry between the areas. You know what I'm saying?
We in New York, we beef over everything. Even our rappers, bro. Like, how many times you see rappers from another camp fuck with each other in New York? Like, Wu-Tang wasn't fucking with Rockefeller.
No, ever. That was always a rivalry.
And New York dudes are very like crabby like that. We just beef with each other. Like, and that's not just like I like most of the beef I had in my life, and I like existed in what you would call gang life. Since I was a kid, the dudes that I banged on or had beef with the most my whole life were Puerto Rican cats. Like and anybody could attest to that. Like I'm a real person off the internet. Or I really like, like as far as getting around and whatnot, I don't want to make it seem like I'm gully, but like the times that I've beefed, I mean, in my case, I mean, it just happened to be my own. But like besides that, the only other dudes I beefed with were black cats. God didn't put me around white cats in New York City. I mean, like, and I just for my own.
Most of us ain't around each other. Most of us ain't around white people. We in the neighborhood with each other, blacks and Puerto Ricans and stuff like that. So we fight each other, because that's all we see. We fight Puerto Ricans or we fighting other brothers. You know what I'm saying? That's the way it is. You know what I'm saying? And it's all good. I mean,
Isaiah, could I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Because like I've been noticing that this debate has spread out to like besides Puerto Ricans, like to other Caribbeans, like Jamaicans, like you know what I'm talking about, like West Indian cats, like even up until recently, like I looked at like especially Americanized Jamaicans or Americanized let's say Panamanians that don't speak Spanish. I've always viewed them closer to American black cats or what you would consider FBA than they were to Puerto Ricans by any stretch, bro. Like those dudes are brothers, bro. Like to me, Like,
I agree.
fuck, leave Puerto Ricans out of this. Like, do you consider Jamaicans your brother?
All right. So listen, I consider them my brother. My brothers. But there are cultural differences.
Big
There
time.
cult- There's cultural difference. I consider them my brothers because we're black. We got the same skin color, but they may not have the same ideology like me. Okay,
No.
they might not feel the same way here in America that I do. Okay, um, so I mean, but overall speaking, they are my brothers. I look at them as my brothers. You know what I'm saying? I do. But
Well,
like I said, they may not think the way I do. They may not have the same mentality like me. Because my people from the South. My people from the South, we're not from Jamaica. My people from the South, and we have a different experience here in America than they do. They from Jamaica. My people from America. So they might look at things differently than me. But if worse come to worse, and we have to throw down in the street, I'm sure they're gonna be there for me. You know
yeah.
what I'm saying? That's
But
just the
in
way
New
it is.
York, let's say like if you were on the train, like you would like unless a Jamaican opened his mouth and had like an accent, you wouldn't know he
Yeah,
was Jamaican. You know what I'm saying? Like I
yeah,
wouldn't like let like no not like no white boy said it on a Jamaican. Like
yeah.
even if
No.
I don't know him, you know what I'm saying? Like
Hmm.
fucking, but it like
Yeah.
do like it's the only reason I say that is because like a lot of people don't know how these things like work or like how these groups are represented as far as New York City go. And
Hmm.
then like dudes that are like out of town or like that never been to New York or might even
Yeah.
be like a white guy online cosplaying as a fucking black dude or
Hmm.
some shit. They like
Yeah.
taking shots at like Jamaicans, say like yo, fuck these dudes. Like yo, like they
Yeah.
weren't really beefing with you.
No.
Like
No.
last
No.
month, before this debate popped off.
Nah,
You know,
listen, let me
like
tell you something. I don't have no type of racism with me when it comes to my Jamaican people or my Puerto Rican people. You know what? Like I said, everybody, I'm here in the Bronx, man. I'm surrounded by Latinos, I'm surrounded by Jamaicans, surrounded by my own Black Americans. We all here together. But now, hold on, there's always a but. There is racism. There's racism in Latino culture to an extent.
of
Okay.
course it
Okay.
exists.
There is some racism there. Okay. Now, um, Black Americans, we've been suffering so much in this country for 400 years. We really can't be racist. We can have bias or we can be, standoffish with other nationalities, but we can't be racist. You understand? We can't, hate another ethnic group because of your skin color. Who are we to say that? Because we the ones getting discriminated against all the time. So we can't be racist, but other nationalities can be racist toward Black Americans. And I think a lot of times we are the ones who suffer the most from racism, Black Americans, more than any other
Without a
ethnic
doubt.
group.
Without
You
a
know what I'm
doubt,
saying?
Isaiah
And
White.
I think that's what's going on a lot here when it comes to this whole debate. That's why we call ourselves FBA, because we want people to see and show people like we proud of ourselves too. We the only people, okay? Puerto Ricans stick together, Jamaicans stick together,
In
white
part.
people stick together,
No, but look,
Black
Isaiah,
people.
like Puerto Ricans do stick together, but like my friend group, I'm not saying this to be an online herb because I hate when people say that online. Quite literally, my friend group is probably like 60% brothers for
Okay.
all intents and purposes. And it's not because like I'm a aligned brother or like somebody was saying I'm a down with it like Puerto Rican. Nah, bro. Like I mean, like my brothers are my brothers. You know, like I
Mhm.
can't fucking I got love for
Yeah, of
like who I got love for. But like,
course.
are American black men, black brothers, the most hated on species in the world? Without a doubt, bro. Like, I mean, like, I know this. You know, like, the
Right.
but like, I think honestly, is more constructive if brothers built upon that. You know what I'm saying? Like, and treated
Yeah.
everything like, yo, everybody's against us. But like a lot of these dudes that I be hearing speak online, all they're basically saying is like, all right, this person's racist, that person's racist. Like, it's not like, yo, what we're gonna do next? You know, now we
Mhm.
know this exists. What's the
Mhm.
next move for FBA if we're gonna ride with that?
Yeah.
But like I like what I've been hearing, like I mean, it's not to say that fucking all FBA are the same or all black brothers are the
Mm-hmm.
same. That's stupid, bro. Like that's not the
Mm-hmm.
case. But
Nah,
there are
of
corny people everywhere or haters everywhere, and a
course.
lot of times, like in the midst of like these debates, like some people don't say like, "Yo, shut the fuck up, you're getting out of pocket." You know what I'm saying? Like,
Mm-hmm.
or like, "Yo, like it ain't like that with all Puerto Rican." Like, it's more like, "Yo, I remember this one time that like this Puerto Rican like said this." Like, bro, like, yo, and I said a story yesterday, Isaiah White. You
Mm-hmm.
know, are you familiar with Harlem?
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
Like, as far as the streets, like the layout.
yeah, yeah.
So, do you remember like Black National Theater?
Black National Theater.
Yeah,
Was that
it's actually if you were to get off on the D train, like which is like the east side, like, and you walk up towards Apollo, it's probably like one block before you would hit Apollo. So I think it's like Fifth Avenue. If
okay?
if if you were counting it as
Is
like,
that near the Adam Clayton Power Building?
it's actually before that. If you're getting off from the D train and walking like west, let's say, like
Okay.
walking towards Grant, projects.
Yeah,
Like, but
I
it's
know exactly what
before.
you're talking about.
Yeah, it's before Apollo. But I think like the street was actually named Black National Theater Road while Black National Theater was there.
Okay.
So I was going there with four of the Latino dudes, like to Black
Mm.
National Theater. But I ain't think that like we were going to meet with people inside a place. I thought we were going to
Mm.
meet with people like in a park, let's say.
Mm.
Like I ain't really go to Harlem like that many times.
Okay.
On the way, like I passed the place that I was supposed to go, and I started walking like up towards Apollo.
Mm.
So I'm like, yo, I think we walked too far. So we start heading back, like the same little group I'm with.
Mm.
I hear like somebody like yell, like, hey yo, and like I turn around, Blood Central. It's like fucking like 30 dudes. Like I'm like, yo, I'm fucked. And like and I was with a shorty and she was pregnant on top of that. They surround us, like, yo, like run all your shit, like fucking and they want like I had you know those members only type polo jackets, like that, like the plain
Yeah.
one. They have like
Mm.
just the horse, like not like
Mm.
a fancy one. I never had a piece of clothing like that in my life, and I traded with one of my boys for a jacket, like a book bag for a jacket. I just
Mm.
copped this shit. They were like, yo, what do you got in your pockets? I was like, yo, like I ran my Metro card, like you can have it, the school one. And then they were like, yo, run the jacket too. I was like, yo,
That's how New York is, man.
I can't
I'm
give you
so.
the jacket though, like, you know. But luckily, the people I was gonna meet with, they all came out, and I was probably gonna meet with at least 50 people. But everybody, you know,
Mm.
they saved me. It was
Mm.
pieced up, no problem. But I'd be a fool to say like that these people like didn't like knew that I wasn't from Harlem just
Mm.
based off the fact that I'm a Latin dude. But in addition to the fact that I look like damn near white boy Latin dude. You know what I'm saying?
See
Like,
that part of Harlem. That part of Harlem you talking about is the black side of Harlem. So it's like
no,
the
I'm
black
not tripping that
Harlem.
I would rob dudes like that if they were slipping in my hood, like, you know, like, and I needed money like that, they're gonna get caught.
Mm.
But you know, but that didn't mean that like those dudes like hate Puerto Ricans. Like, nah, like
Yeah.
I mean, like they like, you know, or like that they hate like that all black dudes hate Puerto Rican or that all bloods hate Puerto Ricans, bro. Like I'm cool with like fucking like dudes that like like even back then I used to have like problems with Latin Kings. I know Latin Kings now that I love. Like, you
Mm-hmm.
know, but it's like even though I know like shit sets off
Yeah.
in a racial undertone, like beef wise in New York, or like where, or if you get into a problem with somebody, like they'll call you some racial shit, like Cocolo or
Yeah.
like Moreno or some shit, like Latin people. You
Yeah.
know, at the end of the day, I mean, like, you know, no matter what, New York, you have to like fucking exist with people like in the trains, in your
Hey,
building,
listen,
you know,
I didn't mean
and
to
both
cut you
sides
off.
is love.
I didn't mean to cut you off, but when I was growing up, right? You know, I used to go, well, when I was going to school in Harlem, okay? I used to go to A. Philip Randolph over there in Convent Avenue, near Convent and St. Nicholas, right? And every day we had to, you know, I had my crew from the Bronx, you know, we from the Bronx, and we had to, you know, say we had to travel back home from Harlem to the Bronx. At that time, you know, Harlem and the Bronx got along together, but still you had cats from Harlem that didn't like cats from the Bronx.
Not
So
one bit. I
every
was gonna
day,
say that Harlem and the Bronx don't like each other, bro.
yeah, nah. At one time we didn't like each other, so every day had to be like what, at least 5 or 6 of us to travel together, you know, to get home. because we know the cats from Harlem. They know we was from the Bronx. We had to, watch each other back because we might get jumped. And if we got jumped, we had to have each other back. So, and there was one time I got caught by myself, and they jumped me over there on 135th in Lenox, and I got my ass beat the fuck up. Excuse my expression. But what I'm saying is that's how New York is. New York City is just gritty like that. You know what I'm saying? Like it's always been like that.
Bad shit will happen to you, like, and it's just, like anybody could catch you in New York.
Anybody can catch it. Anybody can catch it. But I mean, in terms of this whole, this whole debate, we got to listen, we all played a part in the start of hip hop. We all played a part in it. African Americans started it. Everybody else played their role. And people got to accept that, and stop with this argumentation. Like, okay, so say business, right, my brother? What's it? Behold?
Now it's Behold, but I was calling myself Certified Player of Brooklyn. As of today, my channel's now called Behold. Thank you for
Behold. Okay,
Isaiah White.
Behold, listen. So basically, like I said, it's a lot of things that's coming out now. That people are I don't know, the Latino, Puerto Rican people are feeling. You know how this argumentation has been going on for a while, for years now. Like Latinos feel like they're not getting their just respect in hip hop and in hip hop. I don't know why. We always said that nobody never said that Puerto Ricans didn't play a role in hip hop. Nobody never said that. But somehow there's some Puerto Ricans, some, not all, feel like they're not getting their credit. And nobody never said y'all don't get credit. Y'all get credit for, what y'all did in hip hop. You got to, because y'all were there. Some of y'all were there and y'all participated in it. Y'all contributed to it, right? Definitely. So why you feel you're not getting that? They feeling like we're erasing them. They feeling like Black Americans from the Bronx are erasing them.
No, we do. There's a sense that we're getting sort of like erased, but it's not Black Americans from the Bronx. I think like Black Americans from the Bronx, some of them, a small minority, lately started like switching up the history and like, or not switching up the history, but like or like framing it more like in a race centric way, somewhat. But it's sort of but then I feel also at the same time Puerto Ricans, like a lot of people are sort of like misinterpreting like how we are, like, or what the dynamic is in terms of Puerto Ricans in New York. Because like there's my brother's almost as dark as you, my older brother, and like if people were to peep him off the rip, unless he opened his mouth, they wouldn't know he was Puerto Rican. But a lot of Puerto Ricans, even before hip hop was born, were fucking with Black dudes and vice versa. I mean, like, there were a ton of like, not a ton, but there was a lot of people that like, interplayed with each other. Also, too, like, I think that a lot of times, and I mean, this is like, you could debate this fact if you want, Isaiah White, but you tell me what you feel. Like, actually, like, I'll put it like this. Like, I like, in spite of the fact that Puerto Ricans like will set trip, like Puerto Ricans to me genetically are Moorish or Black, what you would say. But if Puerto Ricans are fronting on that fact, like they're dumb, like the ones that are. But also too, like when Dominicans came into New York, like Puerto Ricans looked at them as outsiders in addition to Black people. Now it's like Dominicans are like kind of like the fabric of New York. But I like when I was coming up, like Puerto Ricans would look like shit on Dominicans, and they would align themselves more with Black cats than they would like Dominicans, especially back in the day. But Mexican cats, like I don't know if like my neighborhood is flooded with Mexicans now, bro. But they came like in the 90s. But I know you got them in the Bronx too. They're starting to.
We got them in the Bronx too. We got them in the Bronx.
But like from your experience, Isaiah White, like because you're a New Yorker through and through. Like, do you like you ever see Puerto Ricans fucking with Mexicans more than they do Black people?
No.
That it's almost like impossible to think that would happen, even in the future. They're and it's not like we got beef with Mexicans.
No.
but like it's just like they don't seem like they're like Puerto Ricans. Like Puerto Ricans relate to like
Mexicans are in their own bubble. They only align themselves with their own. They don't align themselves with other Hispanics. They have their own community and they align themselves mainly with their own.
they
Now,
beef with their own too. Like they
yeah,
like
oh yeah, they be with their
all
own,
the
but
time, bro. Like
they
they like
pretty much are to themselves. Okay,
yeah.
the newest ones they only here for the around their own. Puerto Ricans and blacks always had more of a camaraderie, more of a camaraderie than other Hispanics towards blacks. Okay, Dominicans. Now I'm gonna tell you something about the Dominicans. I feel are starting now. You know, some of them think they're white. Some Dominicans think that they don't think they're black. They won't align themselves with blackness. They'll only
Dominicans
align
are
themselves.
fucking black, bro. Even more than Puerto Ricans. Dominicans are black, bro. You and
Yeah,
they may speak their bullshit, and they may beef with Haitians. They're assholes for beefing with Haitians. Dominicans are fucking black
they
through and
are.
through.
They are, but they don't think they're black.
Nah, they front like that's the dumb ones though. I'm telling, and a lot of us are like on that dumb shit though. Like as far as like dissing our own genetics, like fucking if we know if we're good dancers, it's because of that black blood that runs
Yeah,
within us. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
If we keep it a buck or thorough, just like our black brothers do, it's because of that. In part, like we got the same blood within us. But the most thorough
yeah.
dudes in New York, like you just named the three groups by nationality. It's black dudes, Dominican dudes, Puerto Rican dudes.
Hmm.
And all three of them have like the same blood within them. I mean, like the
Hmm.
Puerto Rican dudes, so a lot of them, like myself, look more white, and like a lot of us, whether black, white, whatever shade of Puerto Rican, some of us are on that bullshit ass time where we try to front on like what's within us in the blood.
Yeah, yeah,
But it's 2025. You know what I'm saying?
yeah. I mean, we all gotta understand. We all gotta understand. Like, we have more things alike than differences. In a way. Because we do have that African blood in us. We do, and we have to learn how to appreciate and interject on those things that we see alike instead of differences. I think our differences that we have, we kind of like expound on them too much, and we cause all this division.
And
Now,
it's
one thing I
happening
would
more in
say,
the last 10 years, what you just spoke of. It
uh
seems to be like riveting up, like where we're like dividing more in the last
yeah,
10 years online.
yeah,
In New York, not so much, bro. This
yeah.
shit ain't
I
gonna
mean,
pop off in New York. This debate, bro, like Puerto Ricans and black
I'm
people are gonna
telling
go
you,
right
man.
back to their same bullshit and get
That's
like
right. That's
like
right. Because
it's
I
gonna
mean,
be
right now,
fucking
like I said,
recycled.
I can go on my door right now and see all my people outside. A lot of them are Puerto Rican, a lot of them are black. We ain't talk about this shit, man. We just talk about different issues that's going on in the world, or what we doing with our lives, and what's going on with our lives. This is just an internet thing. But I'm gonna say this much: we're gonna hope it don't spill out into the streets. Let's keep it on the internet. Don't spill it out in the street. That's what I'm saying. We have to ratchet this down instead of ratcheting it up, because things could, well spill out into the street. You don't know how it got there. This everybody got to, understand what is and what is not, what's reality and what's not reality. Reality, like, okay, I'm gonna give you an example. Behold, okay, I'm just gonna call you Behold, right? Because
Nah,
this is my
please,
first time.
please do.
This is my first time on your show, right? Now, like, say for instance, right, like each group has their culture, okay? Each group has their culture. You have many different nationalities here in the Bronx, right? You have many nationalities that have their specific culture. Black Americans have our culture. Puerto Ricans have their culture. Jewish have their culture. Dominicans have their culture. Everybody has their culture, okay? Now, if we can just like start to use our head, use our brain, and stop going on we doing too much emotionality instead of using our brain, right? If you use your brain, right, and you look at what hip hop is, okay, Forget all the 5 elements, okay? The main thing with hip hop, and I'm going back to this, the main thing with hip hop is the music, the style of dance, and the DJ. Okay, those are the 3 main elements to and the MC, okay? To hip hop, okay? Now, early hip hop only included the DJ and the dance, okay? Now, we can go and talk about breakdancing. Yes, Puerto Ricans and blacks, you know, pretty much, saying made that dance up, okay? Puerto Ricans and blacks made that dance up, right? Now, if we say that Puerto Ricans and blacks made that dance up, Puerto Ricans did breakdancing this way, and blacks did breakdancing this way. Now, a lot of people are talking about like the early, and this is from my knowledge, okay? Like there were b-boy crews, right? They were early b-boy crews that were mainly Puerto Rican, and there were b-boy crews that were Black American, right? So the Puerto Rican
And
b-boy,
mixed ones too.
huh?
And mixed crews too.
And mixed crews, yeah. But the main ones we talk about is like the TBB, right? Which is the first Latino b-boy crew, right? That was the first. Then from then, offshoots of other Puerto Rican crews came from that, right? Now, then you have the Zulu Nation, no, the Zulu Kings. The Zulu Kings was the first black b-boy crew, right? Now, within those crews, within the Zulu Kings, you had mainly black, and you have a sprinkle of Puerto Rican here and there in the Zulu Kings. Now, each crew had their style, right? Each crew had their style and what they brought to the table when it comes to b-boying, right? Now, the Batch and his crew had a certain style that I ain't gonna lie, it took breakdancing to the next level. Okay,
Who's that?
the guy's name is Batch. He's the leader of TBB in the early
Okay.
in the middle 70s, right? He was the leader. I'm giving you, I don't know if you know this, but I'm just giving you a little lesson.
I'm actually learning. I've heard the name TBB like yesterday. Like I mean, I'm up on hip hop history, like and because of my affiliation and whatnot. But again, I'm a little bit younger than you, but also since hip hop history is like hazy in a sense, like I don't know every character. You know what I'm saying? I don't know every crew, and I'm not from the Bronx too. I'm from BK.
If you don't mind me asking, how old are you?
I don't want to put that out there, but like we're not that far apart in age.
I'm 50.
Yeah, like we're not that far apart.
Okay, so all right, so let me break it down. All right, and this will kind of alleviate some confusion. Okay.
But like before you go, like before you explain though, like and I don't want to like if you know what I'm talking about, don't mention it. But like as far as the anniversaries and whatnot, like that happen in New York every year in relation to hip hop, like the dudes that I knew were throwing it.
Okay.
You know, you get what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Gotcha.
The crew, like they were the ones like throwing it every year up until recently. So like or like the known anniversary of hip hop.
Okay.
You know
Yeah. I got you.
So
I got
the I only said that because like we were kind of like within that circle, even though we were young. Like as far as like being in the circle of among like some of the dudes, like I met Charlie Rock in the past. I've met Bombada a ton of times. I met like like and not that they were schooling us to the game, like this is how like, but like I know a little bit, but not like you could tell me better than I could tell you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. No, but I just wanted to, just give a backdrop of a lot of stuff. The point is, each Puerto Ricans and blacks played a role in breakdancing. Okay. Played a big role in breakdancing. Now, breakdancing wasn't the only dance going on in the street. See, this is the problem. See, a lot of Puerto Ricans, and I'm not saying you, but a lot of Puerto Ricans are just talking about breakdancing. Okay. There were a lot of dances that were going on in the streets, like that were made by Black Americans. You had pop locking, you had lockers, you had
Rockets.
yeah, all that. You had
Yo,
you
who do
had
you think? Because I don't know, who do you think created rocking like that dance? Because like some people try to like say that Puerto Rico, like you know what I mean by
that's a Puerto Rican thing.
It is.
We call it burning. It's the same thing as what we were doing, but we called it something different. We called it burning. We didn't call it rocking. We called it burning. So when we were burning in the early 70s, they were rocking in the late 60s, early 70s. See, that's the thing. The Puerto Ricans, see, you understand. I think there was one Spanish dude, he said it, in an interview. He said there were two different ethnic groups that were in the same environment, creating their own environment. Meaning, like, you can have Puerto Ricans hanging together over here, doing their thing, making their own dances, making their own, whatever they were doing. And then you have the blacks and listen to their own music, okay? And then you had the blacks over here listening to their music, doing their own dancing, doing their thing, how they do it. So when all that was going on, that was when, blacks really started, to formulate what became known as hip hop. Okay, because you had the Puerto Ricans over here doing their thing. Now, I would say in the late 70s or the mid to late 70s, all those people, the Puerto Ricans who were doing their thing, kind of drifted over to what the blacks were doing because they saw it becoming more popular. They saw it becoming more of a thing that was getting a lot of attention. So as that was going on, that's when everybody started coming together. But that was the late 70s, the mid to late 70s. You understand? See, a lot of people don't understand that. So they get confused. Okay, yes, the Bronx has a lot of Puerto Ricans. Yes, of course. You're there. You're there. But y'all don't have to be doing the same thing we doing, because we are a certain group and we might be doing this. You may not be down with that. You may not want to do that. Maybe you don't look at that as anything. But what y'all doing is what y'all doing. What we doing is what we doing. So what we're doing, we are kind of like expounding on what we doing, and y'all doing what y'all doing. So as time goes on, and you see how popular the girls are coming our way, the girls are coming over to us, seeing what we're doing. So as that's going on, y'all want to see because y'all want to follow the girls. This is like I was telling you earlier. The girls played a big part in hip hop because that's what made the party.
And
that's what made
the style too, like dressing like a hip hop style was fly.
That's right.
And
females
you could have came fresh off the boat from Puerto Rico, and you saw how black dudes dress, and you're like, yo, that's like, I look like a fucking herb, like, with this
exactly
shirt.
I mean, not for nothing. Yeah, exactly. So because of that, that's what created hip hop. The style, the dress, the slang, the way we carry ourselves, females following what the black males were doing. We getting the sex, we getting, excuse my expression, we getting all the, the girls. Y'all following us because y'all want to get to where the girls is at. And this is what hip hop did. You know what I'm saying? Because and also other things too, but that's one of the factors.
You know what's another cog in creating hip hop, or another pivotal element, why hip hop didn't pop off in Brooklyn, why it popped off in the Bronx? I feel because of the environment of how the Bronx was looking back then too. Like that Bronx looked like fuck. Like Brooklyn was bad, bro. But when I would go to the Bronx, I would, like, as a kid, I never seen bad like that. Like as far as shit looking fucked up, like and like burnt out buildings.
No, but behold, stop. I don't agree with that. You know why? Because listen, this is the way I look at it too. Okay, you can't be one-sided. There were things going on all across the city. Okay, we just get the credit for it because of the breakdancing. But there were things going on all across the city. Okay, there were things going on in Brooklyn. That's related to hip hop. There were things going on in Queens that's related to hip hop.
It wasn't born in Brooklyn, and it wasn't born in Queens. The hip hop was born in the Bronx. Like
no, it was. No, it was. But I'm just saying there were things that was related to hip hop that was going on all across the city. You can't just say the Bronx is the only place that it was going on at, because guess what? They would come to the Bronx, see what we're doing, and carry it back to their neighborhoods. And then they started their thing. You understand? So it all, it spread like that. It spread like that.
Isaiah,
Yeah.
And maybe you could tell me, like, because I know you always go like to like Manhattan, like, or
Yeah.
everybody goes to Manhattan. But when did you start seeing like street performer like b-boys, like the way they would go into Manhattan like to get bread? Like you think like late 70s or
Nah, that was like an early 80s thing. That was an early 80s thing. That was like in 84, 85, 86. I was like I was like 12, 13 years old by that time when I seen that. You know, that was like in the in like the mid 80s. You know, when I see guys like on the street, you know, breakdancing for money and, you know, performing and all that type of stuff. Like, you know, the battles, the b-boy battles, that was a mid to late 70s thing. I was only 4 or 5 years old then. So I
Yo,
didn't know what.
Isaiah, could I ask you another question? Because I'm
Yeah.
not 100% sure. Like because like some dude, of course, like there's a online expert here saying Ricans playing funk music in the 1970s. Doubt it. But I was gonna ask you, you have you like you ever heard of the song "Devil's Gun"?
Devil's Gun?
Like that funk b-boy song, like
No, explain how it goes.
you've heard it. Like if you YouTube it, like I just wanted to know like what that kind of funk is called. Like
If I heard it,
you
then I
definitely
can tell
heard
you.
it. Like
Yeah.
Devil's Gun is called. But
Okay.
uh like it's like I don't know how to explain it. It sounds like disco-y funk, like the shit that dudes rock to, like that sounds funky, like but it sounds like it's like a New York style, like a funk in a sense.
Okay.
Like like
Listen, funk. I didn't mean to cut you off, Bill. Funk played a big part in the start of hip hop, man. Funk music, soul music, R&B, all that played a role in the start of hip hop. Cause see, if you go back to Kool Herc, right? If you
no,
go back
the
to
only
Kool Herc,
reason I say that is because Son came into the chat with the spice and said Ricans playing funk in the mid 70s. Doubt it. Like Puerto Ricans love funk music. Like
I
even
mean, yeah, you had some that played funk music. You had some, you know, but for the most part, a lot of Puerto Ricans at that time were playing salsa, merengue,
my bad, bro.
all that, bachata, whatever. But I mean, you know what? Like, okay, a lot of the early what you call it, the pioneers stated that a lot of Puerto Ricans weren't on that time in the early 70s yet to hang around blacks to start hip hop, okay,
Definitely.
to create hip hop.
But there's
So
always exceptions, and
no,
exceptions, if
no,
they exist anywhere, they're in New York.
no. There were some. There were some, not many. There were some, not many.
Exactly.
Like as time went on, many came to like hip hop, and they gravitated to hip hop. Just like Grandmaster Caz said, he said they gravitated to hip hop. Okay, meaning that as there was a time when they didn't like it or they weren't familiar with it, so they didn't hang around it. But as time went on, they started gravitating toward it because they started to like it. They started to see what it was about, and they started to gravitate toward it. So that's why when we talk about, that's why when you see a lot of guys who's in disagreements to Fat Joe's 50-50, that's what they're talking about. You know, y'all weren't there in the beginning. Not to say y'all, none of y'all, but y'all weren't there as a whole,
Nah, definitely
like
not,
that.
bro.
Yeah, as a whole. Because you gotta understand, hip hop started in the early 70s. Early 70s. Not 75, 76, 77. That was after a whole generation of hip hop already been started. You understand?
Yeah,
So people are getting confused with early hip hop, thinking it's like 79. That's not early hip hop.
no, hell no.
That's the problem.
That's but like that, like I know, and that's the thing though. I'm like I'm familiar with hip hop history. 79 is way late. 79
Yeah,
is already parties happen, like big time parties happening.
that's right.
But
That's right.
and were Puerto Ricans heavy in the beginning? I mean, like I doubt it, but I know for sure, like when like that there were dudes that didn't speak Spanish, that Puerto Ricans that like love funk, like that fucking knew how to dance. Like, yo, I'm not gonna let these dudes dance better than me. Like I like even if they were race tripping, they were like, you know, as soon as like they started dancing, like I knew they competed against each other, like fuck or bit like, and then like maybe you know, like, but like the dude, like people make it seem like everybody in New York was on that time, like, yo, I'm not fucking with these Puerto Ricans, or like, you know, and it's
Mhm.
and most like because I know black brothers like are very inclusionary, and that's not a bad thing. Although
No.
you know what I get pissed off too, Isaiah, like not
Mhm.
like with when people like make it seem like the fact that we're making these claims is almost like black brothers of New York fucked up in a sense. Like, oh, like they've been letting them say the N-word all these years. Like, nah, dogs, like, yo, like
No.
that it's you know, even like that put
It's a
like
New York thing.
the
It's a
claim
New
shit
York
is
thing.
what fuck shit up, honestly. Like in a
Mhm.
sense, and like that people maybe ran with it. I don't think Fat Joe in his heart of hearts. I gotta listen to the whole interview again though, Isaiah, too.
Yeah. I think my opinion on that is I think Fat Joe, I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm from the Bronx. You know what, Fat Joe, I never had a problem with Fat Joe. Never. But I feel like Fat Joe has to grow up a little bit. I feel like because I'm you know what I'm saying, I'm from the Bronx, okay? I'm from the hood. You know what I'm saying? All my people from the hood. We talk slang and all that time. I feel like he needs to kind of like update his slang. There's
We
other
should
words
all
you can
drop the
say.
N bombs, bro. For
Yeah,
2025 and beyond, we should all stop saying it. It has no
yeah.
business.
There's other
Following
slang
through.
words like kid, son, what up, brother, what's up, dog. There's so many other words you could be saying besides nigga. You understand when you around black people? Yo, I don't use the word nigga like that. I'm black. I don't use it. I use yo. I'm like, yo, what up, brother? What up, son? What up, kid? There's so many slang words you could use beside nigga. Come
Word
on,
up.
to me, nigga is like obsolete. Why are you still using that? You know what I'm saying? He could have been on that show using other words to express himself beside nigga. Come on. I
Nah,
mean, you know,
especially in that for that conversation too.
yeah,
Oh, if you taking
yeah.
shots at FBA and you think you have an idea of what
E-
they're about, you know that
exactly.
she's gonna get spicy by like framing it like that, you know?
Exactly. He should have
Especially
thought
with
about
how
that.
shit is now too, like with how shit is nowadays. Yo, this
Yeah.
is a song though, Isaiah White. I'm just gonna play a little bit of it, but this is the
Mhm.
beginning. Like, tell me if you know it.
Okay.
Hold on. I'm sorry, I should have played the part that I
Sound familiar.
had. Sorry, this must be the long version or some shit.
Mm. That sound familiar. It sound disco-y.
Is that you heard it before though?
Yeah, I heard it. It sounds
Yeah,
like it's disco.
yeah, it's like disco-y funk.
Disco funk.
Yeah. No, what I'm
Yeah.
saying is that that kind of music, like Puerto Ricans, like I mean, like my parents always played that shit, and my parents weren't like had zero to do it, like hip
Okay.
hop, like they were fresh off the boat. But
Mhm.
like when they heard like those kind of like those kind of sounds, like that
Yeah.
disco-y, like
Yeah.
they grew, you know, they're like, yo, I fucks with it, even though I don't know what the fuck like they're saying, like you know, it just
Yeah.
sounds funky, like you know. But
Yeah.
I could see others like you know when they heard like oh yeah, and there was a lot of records like that
Mhm.
that weren't really like pumped out like to the public that honestly like kind of like stood within New York because only I don't know if I collect records
Mhm.
and only 25% of music that was made on wax is
Mhm.
actually still documented. Like 75% of it, of just about, is gone in history. You know,
Wow.
and a lot of these little funk records like that
Yeah.
were meant probably for just to b-boy
Hmm.
were probably lost in time. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
you know,
'Cause
like
everything is on online now. Everything is like, digital or
some of it, but
yeah.
like I said, 75% of it is lost to time. You
Yeah.
know, like
Yeah. So if you
and
have that, if you still have that, you need to, keep that and don't lose it
no, that's a
because
popular song.
yeah.
But there's some that me like that were like so like 10 maybe 20 records were pressed
Hmm.
and they were probably like some breakbeat funky shit that that neither one of us ever heard. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That and it's like and honestly like that kind of music was not like crazy popular outside of New York. I think like that funky, like dancey type shit. Like,
well, no, I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that because you know what? I'm gonna be honest with you, man. Funk wasn't created in New York City. Funk was created in Philly.
like that kind of disco-y, like like funk. What I mean, like,
But you know, disco was made in Philly. Disco was made in Philly and New York City. So a lot of people from Philly or Newark, New Jersey, or Ohio would like those type of songs because that's where it came from. It didn't come from New York City.
But
You know, a lot of stuff.
you're absolutely right. Like, I don't know, like if they like, but as far as like rocking to it or dancing to it, like New Yorkers were,
I'm sure they all like it. Anywhere there's black folk, I'm just letting you know. Anywhere there's black folk, a lot of black. There's. Listen, you gotta understand. Listen, this I'm talking about culture. You know, culture is just not here in New York City. You know, you got cats in Los Angeles. You got cats in Cleveland. You got cats in North Carolina. You got cats in Seattle, Washington. It's still culture. You know, so wherever we at, we're gonna like the same type of music. Okay. So when hip hop was made in the Bronx, okay, our culture is that music. Okay, so and that spread, that was all over the country, not just the Bronx. That music was all over the country.
No, I agree.
You know,
I'm saying
no,
as
but you
far as
understand what I'm saying? That's see, you gotta understand. A person culture is their music. Is the main thing is their
I
music.
agree. I'm saying as far as like how it played out in terms of like battle dancing,
Yeah.
in terms of like the jams out in the street, like
Oh, of course,
that's kind of like the New York culture I bring up. Hip hop, the early hip hop culture, basically.
Yeah.
Because like early hip hop like culture, they were dancing to what you classify as like disco funk. You know, like when they came to the dancing and whatnot, and like to the breaks, a lot of them were disco breaks and funk breaks.
Yes.
You know, and and most of those artists aren't from New York, honestly. Like, and the
most of
Godfather
them from New York,
from Georgia.
Yes,
my man James Brown.
Yes, or you know the Carolinas, or even some parts of the West. Or up, Northeast, not Northeast, Midwest. A lot of them from the Midwest. They're not even from.
Ohio's one of the funk capitals, bro. That's
exactly.
The illest band
Ohio
members
players
were from Ohio too.
Huh?
The illest instrumentalists were from Ohio too.
That's right. That's right. That's right. You see? So I mean, everybody got to understand what is, I mean, listen, we all played a part in hip hop. It started with us, and then everybody else joined and did their thing. That's it.
And you know what, Isaiah White? That's just like every other art form. It started with the bros, and like the world loves it, and they like and like to say like people aren't emulating the bros, bro, like that's stupid talk.
Yeah, that's absurd.
Yo, Isaiah, I gotta dip off though, man. Like, any last words before we end this first New Year's stream?
Listen, man, it was nice talking to you, man. I just wanted to come holler at you. I said a couple of things in your chat. I just wanted to come on and kind of like you could see my face and I could talk to you.
Come back too, bro. Don't front,
yeah,
man.
definitely.
Like, yeah, bro. Come, like, don't leave me hanging here, bro. Like, you welcome.
No doubt, yo. I'm gonna definitely come check you out again, my brother.
Nothing but love too, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, fucking I could learn from you. Like, fucking I don't gotta be that. I don't gotta like front like I just don't like these debates where everybody's like you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Like, it's like bugged out, bro. Like, because then yo,
no doubt,
Isaiah White, man. Like, and you better stop smoking them Newports, bro. Because I saw that cigarette in your hand, bro. Like, dead them shits, bro. Like, I don't want to preach.
Trying, my brother. I'm trying.
I know. I quit, bro. 7 years I haven't that I quit.
Oh yeah. Oh man.
Yeah, I was smoking since I was 11 years old, bro.
Wow, man. Oh, you said what?
I was smoking since I was 11 years old.
Wow, dog, man.
Those Lucy's would call me every day, bro. Like, fucking, even when I wouldn't buy packs, like, fucking, give me the fucking Arabic axle, like 3/4 to get a fucking Lucy, like,
yeah.
But nah, man, like, that's one thing for 2025, bro. Like,
I'm gonna try to stop, man. I'm gonna try to stop 2025, man.
Health and happiness, my brother.
No doubt, man. You too, man.
And if in 2025 too, bro.
No doubt, my brother. But I'll check you out again, man. If you come back on, I'll check you out again.
Word up, bro. I will, bro. And thanks for coming through, Isaiah.
Anytime. Later.
Good night to you and anybody else who listened this evening. Thank you for stepping into the Foul Playland. Yo, Isaiah, you have a channel?
No, I don't.
You know, if you ever put if my man ever starts one up, man, you better make sure you check out my bro from the Bronx as well, bro. Nothing but love, and this is how conversations that happen, bro. We don't gotta tear each other down, bro. Like, you know, with like we like crabs shouldn't get the microphone just as much as good people, you know, like crabs are gonna be crabs.
That's it.
Yeah, yo, but Isaiah, and to anybody else who came through, Caramel King, good looking out too, man. Thank you for the compliment. But
No doubt, my brother.
good looks to my brother Q, and that came through earlier. And much love, peace. Thank you for
Peace out, my brother.
to this stream. I'm out.